Sure you do. It's a Twitch channel. Let me see if I can get you a link.
Yeah, it's
So you
just
don't have to
because
think.
I
Because
just
thinking
view
is
it through
hard.
I just view it through Discord then, so
There you go.
I don't have to open anything else up.
Look at that handsome guy. So this is our fourth live show, and we're going to do an adventure, a custom adventure, designed by Tsarak, and we're going to play our wacky, crazy, super creative, overpowered, death-defying sorcerers. We've got, what, 5 of us here and 1 on the way, maybe. Right? Or 4 of us and 1 on the way. I can't remember what it is. What do we got? Who are we missing? Missing 1 guy, but we're going to go for it anyway. So I'm going to turn it over to the GM because I'm being a player tonight. I will be the most inexperienced player on the board. So if you're watching this as a video and you're like, dude, those guys are really good, but that one guy sucks, that's me. He keeps trying to play it like it's AD&D. What's wrong with him? So, all you,
right.
man.
So we'll go ahead and get started. We're playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, which is new to a lot of people. I've played quite a bit, but I'm by no means an expert on the rules yet. So if anybody here has things that I'm getting wrong, please point them out. I do not mind rules lawyers or anything like that. I'm trying to improve the way I play the game as well. If I ever hardline disagree with anything, I will let you know.
Sounds fair enough.
Okay.
We are, if you've never played in Paizo's official setting for Pathfinder, we're going to set this in their official world of Golarion. And for that, we are going to specify further that Golarion's kind of a sort of patchwork quilt of sorts of different settings. Like each country has its own shtick, I guess you could call it. And some of them go a little heavy on the shtick. The place where we're going to start, the country is called Andoran. And it is essentially their analog for the US during the American Revolution, and somewhat inspired by the French Revolution as well, though there's a place that's specifically where some of the French Revolution stuff kind of got into a little more murdery sort of fashion, and that's Galt. So we're setting this in Andoran. Andorran is a large country that sort of just broke free from what was old Cheliax. Cheliax was dominated by imperialist powers that were kind of secret and then not so secret devil worshippers. And so they sort of initiated things like slavery and things that the people of Andorran did not agree with, but they were looking for an opportune moment to declare their independence, and so they did. In the current setting, Andorran is a free nation and makes a point of getting into other people's business all the time because they have many different nations around them that they disagree vehemently with. So we're in Andorran in a place called Piren's Bluff. Piren's Bluff is sort of on the northwest corner. I'm trying to get the Twitch stream to load. Hold on a moment. It's twitch.tv classic DM, yes?
Yep, sure is. /classic_DM. There's a link in the Discord too.
Got it. Thank you. Perfect. Thanks. So we're going to start in Piren's Bluff, which you are looking at the map of right now. It's called Bluff because it sits on sort of a gorge. If we have the map of Andorran just really quick again.
Sure.
There is a range of mountains to the northwest called the Asphodel Mountain Range. And the Asphodel Mountains aren't notorious for being the tallest mountains in the land or anything like that, but they do act as most of the physical border between what's now in Andorran and what is Old Cheliax, where slavery is still entirely legal, and the whole devil worshipping thing didn't quite subside yet. So Andorran here is trying to defend their border at Piren's Bluff. There aren't a lot of people there. Until recently, it was ruled by a Baron Vendicon, who was definitely siding with the enemy, kind of underneath it all. Andoran threw out their Eagle Knights, which are their premier army, the arm of their military. And so the Eagle Knights tromped forth, marched on Piren's Bluff to overthrow this guy, and he was sabotaged from the inside by some brave adventurers and spies that the Eagle Knights had put in place. So since that point, the army sort of moved on. They've changed. They've sort of encouraged both the Asphodel Rangers who are here in town. We can go back to the map of Piren's Bluff.
Sure.
I think the Rangers are at the lodge, and you'll have to help me. It's a little bit far away on my screen. Yeah. The lodge is sort of just north of the minecart road there.
Mm-hmm. I'll see if I can point to the mouse cursor so people can see it here. I'm putting the hand cursor kind of on top of where that is.
Sure.
I'll wiggle it around so you can see it better.
Sometimes that helps. So this is the lodge. The lodge is the home, at least in Piren's Bluff, of the Asphodel Rangers. The fun thing about the Asphodel Rangers is they are not technically part of Andorran. They exist on both sides of the mountain range, and their main work is in the mountain range itself, since the Asphodel Mountains are home to trolls and several feral hobgoblin tribes and several other, just big ogre goblinoid vicious creatures. And so they're trying to keep at least the pathway between the two countries open, because trade still does exist. It's a little tense, but it does. So the Asphodel Rangers are one of the groups that the Eagle Knights asked to step in when they moved on from this place. The Eagle Knights are very good at fighting battles and being heroes and sabotaging nefarious governments, but then most of the time they move on. They don't set up like a security force or anything like that, and that's troublesome when you are a town in their country and your defense is largely left to, well, whoever's left when the smoke clears. So you've got the old Baron's guards that are still serving as sort of the city watch, but they have been asked to integrate these Asphodel Rangers that are based at this lodge. And they're also taking in people from what's called the Lumber Consortium. I know it's not a terribly clever name, but the Lumber Consortium is this big conglomerate. There are a lot of forested lands in Andorran, and they existed before Andorran was a free country, and they still exist and throw around call it the weight of commerce when they need to. So they are more and more a militarized sort of corporate interest. And so they're here establishing a base in town in sort of the 10 years that the Baron has been deposed. So the city guard is augmented by all of these things. And all of you, the players here, were, for one reason or another, found near Piren's Bluff and were brought in by one of the rangers to this lodge. And they wanted to ask you all a few questions. It seems they're a little up in arms recently. So they turn to the first of you and help me out on names. Scrolling down. I've got them in a document. It's just a different document. All right. They're going to start with Cadwin. Cadwin, they have a few questions for you.
Certainly.
What do you call yourself?
Cadwin Edevra.
And where are you from?
Most recently, I attended college in Ustalav.
Ustalav? Pretty long way away. Is this the first time you've been to Piren's Bluff?
Yes.
Have you traveled between here and the Arthfell Forest recently? And the Arthfell's on the southeast side of the town.
No, I don't tend to like forests very much.
All right, that's good. What is your business in the area?
I am just traveling, doing research.
Fair enough. You'll have to forgive us. We've been a little on edge recently. Well, I don't mind telling you, you seem like a trustworthy fella. There's been a few murders recently, and this is a pretty small town. We only have about 3,000 in our population. 3 murders in a week. That's big news. And so we're a little
Dreadful.
suspicious. Yes, absolutely. So we're trying to get to the bottom of it best we can. We don't suspect you or anything. We just wanted to pull in. There are an awful lot of newcomers here today, and we just wanted to make sure that none of them had any, outwardly nefarious schemes. We doubt they'd say if they did, but we just want to gauge sort of their reaction. So thank you for your time. If you could take a table in the corner, and in the lodge, it's very much it's what you would call maybe a VFW or an American Legion post, where you have in this situation, a lot of hardy either adventurers or miners or some pretty rough and tumble clientele who look at some of you as, ooh, fancy robes. I don't know about this guy. But you're asked to take a table near the corner. And this man motions in the next person of your party. Who would be... Oh, I'm going to butcher this. Amalgmore? Is that you?
Oh, that's me.
That is you.
Emlaghmore Drevja. So I'm from Lamasara in the desert. Been there a long time. And I'm heading to a big tournament in Absalon. But my boat that I hired to get me there had some problems, and I ended up in Augustana on the shore. So I've got about 6 weeks to kill before the big tournament coming up at the end of spring. And I'm a fighter, prize fighter. And I dabble a little bit in lawful things when I need to. But I kind of been wandering your countryside and exploring Andorran, and I've told it's a fine place and it's beautiful. And I found my way here to Piren's Bluff and these beautiful mountains in the background. But I'm going to be heading back down south to Absalon, hopefully get a ship from Almas to the south. And I got about 6 weeks. So, but yep, whatever you need to know, I'd be happy to help you out.
Prize fighter, you say?
Oh yes, I've trained my whole life.
Right.
My whole life.
It's good, honest work there.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and hope you catch a ship to make sure you make that turn. But is this the first time you've been Piren's Bluff?
Actually, it is. I'm normally fighting in Thuvia and Osirian, and Absalon has the big tournament only once a year, an international fight week, and I try to make sure to get down there every time. I've got 3 matches lined up, but for right now, I've got 6 weeks to kill, and just got out of my last training camp, so I'm just going to be relaxing and exploring the countryside. It's not often I get a chance to go grab a horse and ride around, so I'm just kind of on vacation, I guess, wandering around, having a good time.
Not bad at all. You said you came up from Augustana.
That's right. Yep. The boat I had hired, I thought I'd go to Absalon about 2 months early, kind of get used to the climate. I'm used to being in the desert, but they had some trouble with their ship and some kind of problem with rigging, so they pulled in at Augustana, which is south of here. And so I bought a horse and went to the Arfell Forest, explored a little bit, and someone had mentioned that this Piren's Bluff place nestled between these mountains was a nice area, so I thought I'd come check it out and see for myself. Because like I said, I rarely get a chance to get to this part of the land where things are more temperate.
And when you mention the Arfell Forest, you see him make on a piece of sort of scroll paper that he has on the table. So that's all very, very interesting. Thank you for explaining so fully, but we got a couple more things we might want to ask you. We got a few more newcomers here that we kind of want to ask a few preliminary questions and then maybe a few altogether.
She'll just
so if you'll take a seat next to the cadaverous young elf over there. I can't really tell with elves. Sorry. But I would appreciate it.
Yeah, she just nods and goes over to the table where the elf is, and then just takes a look at him with respect and no disrespect, and doesn't give him a second glance. Sits down next to him comfortably and goes, "Oh, okay."
Okay. And the two lizard folk among you are brought in at this moment by two different rangers, and they take you over to this larger table with this person who seems to be in charge of the lodge. And he asks the two of you, what do you call yourselves?
My name is Zaldor.
Gishkim.
Zaldor.
Yes.
You spell that in common, please.
Zaldor.
Lovely. Where are you from?
I come from my tribe up in the mountain.
You tribe up in the mountain over in Asphodel?
Yeah.
One of those. All right. We haven't had much trouble with you and your folk. That's good to know you're local, though. Some pretty impressive claws you got there.
Thank you.
Have you traveled between here and the Arthfell recently? Which would be on the other side of that mountain range.
From time to time, I am diplomat for my people.
Well, that's convenient. Maybe we might ask you for a favor here in a little bit.
Yes, and maybe I can, or we can ask one of you.
All right. Well, if you would take a seat over there by the woman and the elf man, I would appreciate it. We'll send your compatriot here over in a moment. Are you two together? I feel I should ask.
Travel together currently.
Yes, we the favor I mentioned. We'll
Oh, you
later.
see. What was that?
The favor that I mentioned you could do for us. We will talk later about it, but that's why we're here.
Oh, sure. And you, sir, you seem like great friends.
Cut out there at the end.
What was your name, sir?
Name is Gishkim.
Gishkim. Got it. Or close enough. And you're from round about the same parts?
Yes, near the mountains there is an area where the forests give way to swamps, and there my tribe is settled.
And is this the first time you've been to Piren's Bluff?
This is my first time in the area, yes.
Can't help but notice some pretty sizable claws on you, too.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not really a compliment. But what was your business in this area? Same as your friend?
Yes, I'm accompanying him, as our tribes are connected diplomatically at the time.
Fantastic. I wish you both well. Could you go take a seat? Hold on a moment. And he sort of turns his... he moves his head past you and looks at one of the rangers that brought you in. And he mouths something without making a sound. Do you have lip reading by any chance?
Oh.
No.
Negative.
Okay. Give me a perception roll. The DC will be higher.
For everybody or just certain people?
Just Gishkim, who's
Okay,
still there
sounds good.
when this happens.
5.
5. Common's not really the first language you learn, and so it's a little lost on you what actual word he used. But he then turns back to you and says, could you join the group at the far table here? The rest of the rangers and I will be with you in a moment.
Gives him a level look and walks away silently.
So the rangers do sort of convene for a little bit and then come over to where you are at, you plural, being all of you gathered around a table in the sort of corner of the lodge. And they walk you through a couple of things. They let you know that there have been a string of murders here in the past week. 3 people have been found dead, and not like your run-of-the-mill civilians. There was a pretty hardy miner. There was a member of the town guard, and then they just sort of give a solemn look at each other, and then say, one of our own was also taken, and she could fight with the best of them. Name was Audra, and we miss her dearly, but they were all found with a sort of a look of terror frozen on their faces, and deep sort of gashes in their chest and abdomen, almost like claw marks.
Boy.
And then they stare both the Lizardfolk down, but then decide to move on pretty quickly because they don't have anything else to go on other than that. They said up until that point that they had been shrugging off this development as a matter for sort of the town guard that they don't put a bunch of faith into to sort of look into. Now that one of their own had been claimed by whatever this murderer or murderous entity might be, they're taking the matter a little bit more seriously. They say that Audra's body had been found 3 days ago at the Dead Well, and they had spoken to each other. They think that if you go talk to the proprietor of the Dead Well and see what Ben Williff, who owns the place, knows, that might be a good start. That is provided that you would be willing to do them this favor. You seem like an interesting group of adventurers, and they laugh a little bit as they joke that there's a cleric that comes in and out of town. He's a traveling guy, and he has been asking them since he saw the first murder that kind of matches the description of these other 3 show up in the farmland closer to the Arthfell forest. And he's been asking ever since then that the Rangers put together sort of a posse for him as a favor, since he's done some good with the Rangers. He patches up a lot of their wounds when he's in town. And so they jokingly call this man Sparkles, which now you can connect. Gishkim was the silent word that was just with a question mark, it seemed, to the other Rangers. So they've decided that if you 4 are game here, that they're going to let you serve as this this cleric of, they say he's a cleric of Desna. So they're going to let you serve as this cleric's posse that he's been requesting to look into the murder out there in the countryside, while now that one of their own had been murdered, they're going to be handling the investigation here in the town. And they let it pause for a moment, and they say, we can pay 10 gold each. Sound fair?
I would rather have information to the relic that we're looking.
Relic, you said?
Yes.
What relic?
It is one important to both of our tribe.
Well, I mean, if it might be in the you look, we'll keep our eyes out, and if you got a description of it, we can let you know.
And I'll just sort of like write down a rough description of what we're looking for and pass it over to them.
All right. Well, certainly haven't seen it yet, but I will let you know.
Thank you.
Have the victims been buried yet?
The victims, yes. The last one, Audra, rest her soul. She was taken 3 days ago, and we organized the ceremony pretty quickly.
Was an autopsy performed?
Nothing more than cursory. There were those claw marks. There's that weird look she had on her face. She doesn't scare easy. Never did. And then her skin seemed a little grayish. given the time since she had passed, it seemed a little further on than most.
To have examined the bodies.
Yeah, well, old Ben Williff might be able to help you out more. He's at the Dead Well, the inn in town.
Very well.
We'd offer you rooms here, but you're not rangers. Maybe one day, but not yet.
No.
Gave a snort.
All right. Well,
Emlaghmore will
the
just smirk.
cleric's name, when you do meet him, due back in town in the morning, we'll send him to the inn. His name's actually, he gives it as Samael Starlight. We just call him old Sammy Sparkles. He's a character, all right. You won't be able to miss him.
Where did this murder take place? You say it was on the countryside somewhere?
The last one, Audra's, she was a good friend of old Ben's. Ben, he's a nice enough guy, but he's got a bit of a gambling problem.
And this is the
He
same.
retired here. He's a veteran of the Absalom casinos and gambling houses there. But he set up this inn as sort of his retirement home. But yeah, you can't take the gaming man out of him. But Audra, she played cards with him. Who knows if it was more to humor him or if she actually liked it, but they seem to be good friends.
Do you know, so she was found dead in the countryside somewhere? With all this, like, horrific
Oh, no,
faces?
Audra was found dead at the Dead Well.
Oh, here in town. Okay.
Yeah, she was at the inn. She was staying there. She had been playing cards till late in the evening that night to hear Ben talk about it.
So
But,
I'd like to have her, my girl will just ask, like, whereabouts is this inn? I didn't see an inn when I came into town or anything. Just you folks dragged us in here. We've answered your questions. I hope we answered them all for you. Where's this inn we're talking about?
It's the one with the stables.
Up here, number 2.
It's the one right next to the gate you came in through.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're sorry for dragging you along so quickly. We just awful lot of new people here. We don't get very many new people.
Well, if you're done with us here, I'd like to get out of here. That's what she says. She stands up.
Like, all right, you tell there that we're still looking for him, and we're going to get to the bottom of this odd thing. And when you see Sammy Sparkles, you could tell him we said hey, but we didn't.
I'll have my girl turned over to Cadwin and just engage him in just loose chit chat about so where are you from and do you know about medicine and doctors and things like that? And she's just going to lightly engage him in chit chat just to like show respect without being too prying.
Sure, and if you all are headed to the Dead Well, I'm sort of the side of this map.
I'm a healer of a sort. I think I can assist in this investigation.
Well, I'm certainly up for a fight if there's going to be one. But I've been known to heal as well, and maybe we can help these folks find out who murdered their lass.
Sounds fun.
So the Rangers give you a nod of respect. 10 gold if you can get to the bottom of this. And Ben's a good friend of Audra's. Don't let him off cheap. All right. So they send you over to the Dead Well. As you sort of walk in there, and I apologize for sort of railroading, but we're trying to get to sort of combat here.
That's fine.
Or to sort of learn through encounters and things. And I just sort of wrote this as more one direction than usual.
Oh, it's fine.
So as you are headed over to the inn here, just inside the gates, there is a sign that says the Dead Well, and there's a well on the sign painted there with weeds sort of overgrowing it. You are sort of struck with a smell of really higher quality food than you would expect, and it's late in the getting later in the evening now, and you haven't really eaten yet. Grabbed some hardtack on the road, but that's about it. You walk in, and you do see in the firelight there that's burning in the corner, you see an old well that's in the middle of the room, almost like this building had been built around it.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to predate everything. It doesn't have all of the weeds and things you expected from the sign. It seems pretty well kept, but the stonework is very old, and some of it's starting to crumble. But at the bar, you see it's a pretty average height halfling gentleman.
This fella here?
No, not that one. So there's a pretty average height behind the bar, and then there are many people you notice around the tables playing cards, some rolling some dice.
Okay, well, I'm going to march up to the bar and grab myself a cold beer and take a look around. In case I've never seen a place with a well in the middle of it before, and I'm just going to sit back against the bar and see what my newfound friends do.
Yeah, Ben built this place around that well. I think it's more of a marketing gimmick than anything. The ale will be 2 copper.
All right, sounds good.
I will turn to Gishkim and sort of just say to him,
See, this is the benefits of being a diplomat. You get to have the finer things in life.
and I'll walk up to the bar and order myself some food and a drink for both of us.
Sure.
Give a snort at his comment and get some food as well.
Solid square meal here, run you 2 silver. If I could interest you in a bottle of wine, it's 2 silver as well.
That would be lovely.
Sure.
But first, we have some questions about your friend, who was
my friend. I don't have any
unfortunately
friends.
murdered.
Oh,
Here,
Audra. Yeah, we weren't really friends, but yeah, that's terrible tale of woe.
we are here to investigate her murder.
Oh, you might want to talk to Ben then.
Oh, you're not Ben.
No, name's Darius Swiftstitch. Pleasure to meet you. Ben's don't look too closely, but he's that one over there. And he points to an older gentleman, probably in his mid-60s, which, I mean, for a former adventurer, pretty old. And he is there sort of playing a hand of cards with a stack of money in front of him with 3 or 4 other people around the table. And Darius here behind the bar will note that if you watch really closely, look at his right hand. Now, it's only visible to you and I. And I promise he ain't stealing anything. But it's for the fun of it. Old Ben, he's turned in that life of crime, but he still likes to keep in practice. And sure enough, the human man sort of reaches underneath the table, finds a coin purse seemingly from nowhere, pockets it, and then about 5 seconds later, places it back on the person sitting across from him. It doesn't seem like he took anything out of it. Can I get a perception check from everybody at that point?
You just want the base number?
That's basic perception.
Okay.
Base for me is a 5.
Make the roll and then add it to it.
Alrighty.
Sorry.
13.
That will
13.
be an unnatural 20 for Zaldor.
Okay.
Got a 20.
I got a total of 27. 17 plus 10.
So the 27 broke 25, and you do notice this. It's kind of tucked in the folds of this man's clothing, but the top of what looks like a dagger sheath is sticking out of his waistband, and this is who was pointed out to you as Ben as well. And you do definitely see a ruby on that scabbard. This is a man with more money than most of this town.
I obliviously continue to drink my beer since I didn't notice anything.
So Darius turns to all of you and says, so y'all want to talk to Ben then? I don't mean to interrupt the man while he's playing cards, but he could wrap it up and come talk to you.
Oh, I mean, if he considers the murder of his friend important, then we would certainly like to speak.
He certainly does. I mean, we all
Yes,
have
maybe.
our own ways of coping, I guess. But he does stare at Ben long enough, and Ben every once in a while glance over to the bar since he does own the place. And Darius gives a small wave over to him. So he finishes that hand of cards. He did seem to win. No one noticed him cheating. The implication is he could have. And he joins the rest of you there at the bar. He's an older, doesn't have as much of his hair as he used to. What he does have is pretty gray now. Kind of a short, well-kept beard, and just sort of looks at all you. Well then, strangers, how are you?
Well,
I am fine, thank you.
Can I offer y'all a room for the night?
we will need a room. Yes, we will.
It's 2 silver for each room you need.
Very well.
I haven't seen any of you around town. I'm pretty familiar. What are you doing here?
Oh, your ranger
Listen.
fellas, they dragged us in here, started asking us a bunch of questions. Told us you had some lass was murdered out in the countryside or dragged away or scratched and clawed and look of horror. And we told him we'd help
Oh.
look around about that. He said it was Audrey lady or something along those lines. Maybe you can tell us more about it.
He gets a little choked up for a second. Yeah, Audra. That's terrible shame. And it happened here. I feel absolutely terrible about it. But yeah, it fits that description. The one out in the countryside, I assume you're referring to that one that Cleric's always on about. There was a kid out there in the countryside that matched the same description, but we didn't know it was anything to match until it started happening here. Audra was the third in town, scratched up, all the heck, on her chest and abdomen, and then had this sort of gray color to her. We were playing cards late into the night that night, and so she stayed here. When we play cards, we drink. And that night had gotten a little, but she is always welcome to stay here. Didn't even charge her for the room, even though she owed me 5 gold. But she's a good friend. But near sort of early dawn, just before daybreak hours, I heard a scream, and I recognized her voice and never heard her like that before, but I got out of bed, shot out there. I'm faster than I look. Not as fast as I used to be, but faster than I look. And it was, I couldn't have been 30 seconds to her room, but she was stone dead on the floor and looked like she had been dead for days. Color of her skin like that.
At the time of her death, she owed you money.
She did. I mean, I don't know if she was ever going to pay it or not, but trust me, when I see her again on the other side, I'll let her know she still owes me that 5 gold. To my knowledge, I don't think she owed anyone else anything. Like I said, Audra's a friend. You don't think, and he looks around nervously, and then kind of gets a little angry. I didn't do this.
I wasn't saying that. Merely collecting data.
Okay. But yeah, as far as debts, she only owed me the 5 gold. And she's good for it. She would have won it back eventually, and I'm not hurting.
How long ago did she die?
I was 3 days ago.
Is her room still? Can we go look at her room, or is you've already rented it out and cleaned it up, and after their ceremonies and stuff?
I mean, I did my best to clean it up and move on. It's never my business to dwell on the dead. But you can go see the room. It's open tonight. You can buy the room if you'd like.
Well, if you've already cleaned it up, it doesn't matter. But just thinking about it, you and these ranger fellows that dragged us in, I guess they're just being precautious. They said someone else had been found in the town, killed almost the same way.
Yeah, 2 others in town, and then that half always on about. She was the first out there in the countryside. A kid. What kind of monster kills a kid?
Is this the Sparkles young man? Gentleman mentioned. No offense if that's not his real name.
Oh yeah, say the Rangers, they do. I assume that are the Rangers asking you to look into the murders here in town?
Yes, and to answer your question, there are a great many things that could do such a horrible act.
Do you know any?
Not on a personal level. No.
Huh.
Without seeing the body.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we put Audra around respect pretty quickly, and she didn't look in the best of shape when we did find her, so we got her and got the memorial set up pretty quickly. I won't tell her she owes me for the funeral expenses. Just my 5 gold when I see her again.
Did she have any problems or things that she might have been weighing on her mind? How does she seem maybe that week?
I mean, she's a hard line of work. Rangers of the Asphodel there, they see some pretty interesting things out there in the mountain, but it's usually monsters and danger and things. Nothing too terrifying.
So she didn't seem
That look
upset
on
or
her
worried.
face, I still can't shake it.
Doesn't sound like a person did those kind of wounds.
I don't know. I couldn't imagine one that could. The Arthfell, they got kind of a werewolf problem, but I haven't ever seen one this side of town. They usually attack the eastern side of the forest or by the bigger cities there. Got a bone to pick with the Lumber Consortium. Maybe it was, but I wouldn't know how to tell it in the daylight from anybody else. But I figure Sammy might be able to help you out. Don't tell him I called him Sammy. Samael Starlight. He's a nice enough guy. He's just a little much.
Be in town tomorrow, we're told.
Yeah, he should be due back in town. He usually checks in with the Rangers.
Well, I guess we could just stay here and wait for him. And there's nothing else you can think of you can tell us that would help us figure out what happened to your last?
No, but if you can get this done, you find out who did this, and I can believe your story, I'd be willing to pay.
I know for me it's not about the money, it's about what's been done wrong.
Well, that's very admirable of you.
Killing women
Take
in
the
their
money.
sleep. Killing a woman in her sleep's not really my idea of an honorable fight.
Much the same. I don't have much use. My earnings of the past, call them. 40 gold each, if I believe you when you tell me the story of who did this. And if you can bring me proof, and bring me proof that whoever did this is dead, he takes that dagger that you saw in peeking out of his waistband, the one of you saw, and he slams it into the wood of the cup. It's one of the finest pieces I own. worth a king's ransom. Maybe a noble's ransom, but I have a sentimental attachment to it.
Hmm.
You and yours could have this too. I need proof, though.
Proof. I'm more interested in trying to find out what actually killed her because it doesn't sound like of this area. And you talk about werewolf problem. You would think a werewolf would
Yeah,
kill for other reasons.
That's what Samael's been on about. He's been wanting people to go check out the Arthfell and see what might have did this and why it's come up this far.
Well, my girl's just going to finish her beer and sit back and see. So what do you fellas think?
I think I need someplace quiet to think.
I think that if there is a werewolf problem, it'll be hard to find much evidence or find much of anything in the daylight.
More bodies, perhaps.
Yes, that would speed up trying to find a more recent murder. Not that I want another one.
And you two say you're diplomats from your tribes, right?
No, I am the diplomat.
Oh, okay. And your friend here, he's representing his tribe as well?
On envoy of sorts. Yes.
You've ever encountered
Wouldn't
these
look good if he died on his journeys.
Exactly.
Well, if this Samael, Starlight, Sammy fella's on about trying to solve this murder, it's a dishonorable kill. I don't like that. I have no problems getting engaged in helping these folks if their rangers can't handle it.
A favor for a favor.
If you're into that, I guess so.
They said they would help fight the Renix, so we would help with this issue.
Ben looks at you at that point. He's still half listening into the conversation. Don't know anything about a relic, but if the Rangers can help you out with that, I suppose they're better with their eyes and they get around more than I do these days. He tears up a little bit, but if you could solve this, I'd be very grateful. She was a dear, dear friend. And he slides the dagger back into the scabbard. Set these folks up with rooms, Darius. He turns to the halfling at the bar, and then he takes his leave upstairs.
Before he goes, I just turn to him real quick as he's talking upstairs and say, so when do you think your halfling friend's going to be here? Maybe in the morning, in the afternoon? When do you think he usually shows
he
up?
likes to get started early. He'll likely be over by the Rangers at the lodge before dawn. He might get here around daybreak.
Well, why don't we just head over there super early in the morning before the sun comes up and meet him?
You could. I'm sure you'd be able to catch him there.
I turn to the other fellas and Lizardfolk in their group and say, you guys do get up early, right?
Yeah.
And she'll lean over close to the Cadwin fella. You say you need to concentrate. Are you going to be able to meet
I just need
us
someplace quiet to think, and all these
right.
people laughing and
Sure.
their merriment. It's distracting.
Yeah, I understand. No problem. Well, I'm going to grab some more food and I'm going to head to bed, and I will see you all probably, I guess, in the morning.
Yes, of course.
Sleep well.
All right. And as you all sort of wind down, head to bed, Cadwin, was there anything that you wanted to specifically do when you got up to your room, since you're looking for a place?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna, try to think back through all the many, many books he's read in his life to see if, the conditions of the corpses sound familiar in some way.
Yeah, are you trained in medicine?
I am.
Okay, go ahead and give me a medicine roll.
Roll rolled a natural 20.
Oh my
plus
goodness,
12.
32.
Oh, 32 will do, I suppose. All right. So what you do recall, the claw marks could have been any feral creature. Is entirely plausible. The look of terror from a ranger might be a little more suspect. Werewolves are terrifying creatures, that's to be sure, but this is a pretty road-hardened adventure we're looking at. The thing that doesn't sit well with you is people describing the color of skin, and someone had mentioned that she was a human woman, this Audra Tam. And to have that sort of gray pallor, even Ben says it was a minute after he got the door open and got in to check on the body, that does not sit well with you. This seems like there could be either some sort of necromantic magic afoot or something that doesn't scream werewolf to you.
So I'll just make some mental notes, and then I'll turn in for the night.
Okay.
Were we all present for this, or was that a different room?
That was Cadwin on his own. All right. Was anybody else doing anything that evening?
Were we planning on going into more of the town, or were you hoping to meet him outside of town in the morning?
I was
My
suggesting,
We were meeting him near the Ranger's Lodge.
yeah, I was,
Right, my
I was
understanding
suggesting
was-
that we meet him outside, and as he comes marching up, catch him before he gets involved in a bunch of chit chat. That's what I was suggesting.
Before I go to bed, I'm gonna use my ability as an unseen lizardfolk to change the coloration of my scales to be more in line with the forest that we've been in, just in case we have to chase someone down and I need to blend in with the trees.
Got it.
While he's doing that, I will go around the tavern just sort of greeting people and getting them more easy with us lizard folk being here.
Great idea.
Sure. All right. So if you're going around the tavern, give me a diplomacy.
Okay, so
For
plus
Zaldor?
13 for my diplomacy.
Shake the large coffee can full of rocks, sir.
Got a 16 on the die plus 13 diplomacy, so it's
29.
29, yeah, in total.
They cast you a few wary glances at first, but you seem pretty quick to make friends here. They're all interested in you, and they don't seem put off by you at all. A few of them are a little wary of the claws, but that's understandable with the descriptions of the recent murders you got. But you're pretty quick to put them at ease.
Nice.
Especially with a molar strapped to the front of your hat.
And then I'll go to bed.
All right. So you all were planning to wake up before dawn and sort of cut this halfling off when you saw him, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you are right next to the gate. If you do wake up before dawn, you've got a fair chance of catching him. So you all come down and wait for each other in the common room and then head out towards that front gate. And sure enough, you're guessing it's maybe a half hour until dawn breaks. The guards let somebody into the gate who is a halfling gentleman that looks very well kept for a man that seems like he spends a lot of time on the road. He's dressed in sort of dark blue and white traveling clothes. He has what's called a star knife at his hip, which, if you aren't familiar, it's like a small hula hoop with blades on it. He seems pretty clean cut. However, he does wear a very mustache. On his left cheek, he actually has painted a big blue and black butterfly with stars on the top of the wings, and then a sun and a crescent moon underneath it. It's
Do you want me to
very
pull the
detailed
picture
and
that
very
you
well.
up of him?
Yes, that would be
Right,
great.
sure. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right. And so he does have, this looks exactly like him minus the face painting that he definitely has on as he is traveling the road. Is anyone trained in religion?
Am.
Go ahead and give me a religion check if you are trained.
Yep. Okay.
18.
12.
You said it's a 19 was the top one?
18.
18. 18 is also good enough. You would know cursory knowledge that this would look like Desna's holy symbol, that butterfly, and he does wear his belt as well. Desna, among a few other things that are a little hazy, is a goddess of travel and is a goddess of dreams. And this seems to be her holy weapon at his hip.
Not one you want to trip and fall over on.
No. Worn pretty dangerously. So he walks in, notices a group of 4 people standing in his way. Like, excuse me, don't mean to be rude. How are you?
Oh, well.
That's great to hear. I'm headed to see the Rangers.
If we could have a moment of your time first. You are Samael, I assume.
You need a moment of my time. Yeah, Samael, that's me. That's me.
We are assisting the Rangers in investigating these gruesome deaths.
So they finally did it.
What?
Better late than never, I suppose. I've been asking them to put me together a team for a while now, and you all, well, you're not what I expected, but you seem interesting. That's not a bad thing, at least not in my books.
Likewise.
The recruitment strategy was a bit unorthodox, yes.
Sounds like them, sure. They offer to pay you.
Did?
So I assume they're handling the town, and they want you to come with me to go check out the forest.
Yes. That was the idea.
Ah, well, fantastic. I suppose I just need to check in with them, and we'll be on our way.
Well,
Sorry.
Emlaghmore wants to grab him real quick and says, but what can you tell us about what's happened previously? Some of the guards mentioned about, like a boy killed in the countryside, some murders happening in the town, but they haven't investigated it themselves. They want you to investigate it. Do you suspect something weird is going on? What do you think?
It was a girl, and maybe it's the werewolves in Arthfell. She lived, her family, they're farmers. Good friends of mine. I pass through there each time. They always open their home to me and offer me a meal. It might be a good place for us to camp out before we head into the Arthfell proper, but I'm willing to bet it's something in the Arthfell. If it's not the werewolves, some of the Fae can get restless out there.
It's not a werewolf.
It's not a werewolf? How do you know that?
Would be messier.
Messier? I suppose. I'm not very well trained in such things myself. I mean, I have healing magic, but I'm not a doctor by any means.
Well, if someone's been scratched and wounded and bled out, they're not going to be the color that they was describing to us.
Oh, that's
A look of
you know
horror.
what?
That quickly, anyway.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm very glad to meet you all. Again, let me check in with the Rangers. Our bit of the investigation. It was that family's daughter that was the first murder that looked like this. And it was much closer to the Arthfell. That's what got me started there. They might have a little more information, but chances are we'll have to go beat the trees a bit. Are you all okay with that?
Sure, we could wait for you here if you like, or he wants to come along with you and help you out.
Oh, no, that's fine. It'll be a brief chat with the Rangers. I'll be right back.
I'm just going to grab my spear and lean up against the wall and check out the countryside and look up ahead. And I noticed he didn't come up on a pony or a horse. He's on foot. So I guess we'll be hoofing it.
On foot. Travel is a holy thing in the Desnan clergy, and while horses aren't frowned upon, some of the clerics very much love the feel of earth underfoot.
Cool.
So he moves a little bit faster than you expected. He's got kind of a skip in his step, and he whistles on his way over to the lodge, and is back pretty briefly, within maybe 10 minutes across town and back. And he comes back and says, well, suppose we're headed out then. Well, if you all can keep up, we might be able to make the Swiftstitch homestead by dark.
Be a problem.
He proposes it as of course we're going to walk straight through all day without resting. And you don't know how far he's come, but he is all about turning right back around.
All right. Well, I guess we need to keep up.
Yeah. He leads the way a good 10 feet in front of you before any of you think to actually start in motion, because he kind of said that as he was moving. So he's taking you from Piren's Bluff closer to the Arthfell forest to the southeast.
Mm-hmm.
There is a road that leads closer to the forest and then along the border there. And he does have a habit of whistling as he travels, but he is absolutely willing to entertain questions if any of you have them on that day.
Do you see any of the bodies?
Just Juliet Swiftstitch's. No one deserves a death like that, especially not a kid.
Related to the bartender at the inn.
Oh yeah, that's Mr. and Mrs. Swiftstitch's eldest, Darius. There, I don't know. He's in that stage where I don't know if he's really dealing with the grief yet or just trying to push it out of his head and do the job. He wasn't much for farming like his folks.
There's already a little bit of a connection.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people related in these parts. I'm not necessarily related to the Swiftstitches, but they are good friends.
It sounds like a lot of you folks get along quite well out here, so I guess you don't really have much trouble now, do you?
Not a lot of us have problems. I mean, I've got some choice words for the Lumber Consortium. They moved in 10 years ago when the Baron was taken out. And to that point, they had just started logging camps on the eastern border of the Arthfell forest, and now they've started to set some up on the western border. And I wouldn't be too concerned with it if I wasn't so sure that they had gone back on their deal.
What deal was that?
Well, a lot of the forests in Andoran have a strong Fey presence, and there is a sort of a circle of Druids in the country that operates called the Greenfire Circle. They had brokered like a very tenuous peace between the Lumber Consortium and the natural elements, as it were, in some of the forested lands. And for a while, the Lumber Consortium was playing by the rules, responsible forestry. The natives of the forest didn't love the idea, but it's something they accepted. So when the Lumber Consortium comes in, creates a logging camp, they start planting just as many further down the line in the forest. It'll be years and years and years before that comes back. But it's something. Ship's got to be built, though. You know, Andoran's always got another. Anyhow, there's a logging camp that started up on the western end of the forest. And I've only visited it once or twice, but it didn't seem like they were being as cautious or as respectful with the elements they were moving around.
So these murders, you got any theories, any ideas, and what's doing this?
Well, the werewolves were one of them, but seems stupid now. Honestly, if the Fae are involved, this could get much uglier. We might be traveling in to negotiate a peace treaty or something. But yeah, we can't get anything done without going into the forest and talking to them.
I find it hard to imagine dying at the hands of someone that's from a Fae folk and have a look of horror and my blood drain from my soul. It sounds much nastier than that. Did the Fae have any enemies?
Well, it's the Lumber Consortium, and they get along pretty well with the Greenfire Druids. There's a group of hobgoblins in the forest. They're mostly towards the northern end, but they do get it in their blood sometimes to come out and raid some of the human villages. This doesn't seem like them, though.
The Lumber
Oh, that
Consortium is in the habit of breaking their word that they may have more than one enemy.
Sounds
Very
like it.
possibly. I mean, I wouldn't consider them friends of mine.
What do you two fellas think? And turn and look back to our diplomat buddies.
This leads me to think, is there any connection between the people who have died and this consortium?
Well, if there's money
Third
involved,
victim
there's
was a
usually
minor,
people dead.
right?
The first victim was Juliet. There, she was just a kid. The other three seemed like hardy adventurers, but I can't really draw a line over to the Lumber Consortium for any of them. One was a ranger, one was part of the city guard, and the other was a miner.
So they're pretty random target.
Right, yeah. It seems random from my end. And again, I thought it might have been werewolves. Anyhow, we should make the Swift Stitch homestead by dark here, and if it's all the same to you, I typically get started bright and early. There's a temple not far from the Swift Stitch farm, and it used to be a temple of Aradin, but that was a long time ago. It's since been repurposed as a shrine to Desna. It never did get finished. It was a building project that, well, serves us better than it serves them now. If I could do my daily prayers at the temple and then we could move into the Arthfell Forest, I feel like that's our best course forward.
Sounds good to me. How much further to this place you want to go to, this house or something?
We'll reach there by early evening. You do seem to be traveling at a pretty fair pace. He hasn't stopped. He hasn't slowed down to talk. And it is getting later in the day. And quite soon, sooner than any of you really expected, you do start to see a farm rise on the horizon. You see just a simple building. There's a barn out there. There's a pretty ramshackle pen, some pigs in it. And you do see some crops that are planted. It's here in the pretty close to midsummer. And it's a small house, and there only seem to be the two houses there. And they welcome you into their home. Give their names as Milo and Annie Swiftstitch. And they sort of skirt around the issue of their daughter. They don't like to talk about it. But they offer you, if you'd like to stay there with them, they'd feed you and they could put you up in the bar. They don't have any extra beds.
It's quite generous.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, if you all just sort of batten down for the night, Samael seems pretty pleased with how all of this is going, as far as being able to find somebody to help him look for answers, and getting to visit his friends Milo and Annie for a little bit longer. He does tell you, as you sort of settle down in the barn for the evening, a little more about the temple, because he's really excited to go visit it. Says that it was planned as a temple to Arden, but they never did finish the project. Arden's a god, and those of you with religion would know this, at least about Arden. He was the god of humanity, and at that point a god of prophecy as well. But funny thing happened. Arden died. And no one was sure that that could happen to a deity, but it happened to Arden, and all of his clerics lost power. All of his champions were sort of reduced to just their martial prowess. It was entirely unexpected, and a lot of people were very distraught, as you might imagine, when that did happen. However, this temple that never did quite get built, because that happened as it was being built, he says that the priests of Desna that travel through the area have sort of claimed it as their own, which is a big deal for them, because a temple, having not been finished, is still open to starlight, is still open to the air. And one of the things that is really interesting about a Desnan temple or a Desnan shrine is that people write on it. Travelers write their stories, write different things about things going on in the area, different things to watch out for, danger ahead, things of that nature. And it's written in all different languages. Some of it's etched in, some of it's painted on the walls. And it sort of creates this really interesting collage of just different people's stories without names attached. But he's very, very excited to see this. It's been a while, he says.
It's fascinating.
Was anybody doing anything that evening?
I'm not going to do anything out of the ordinary, no.
Okay.
Rest my
I'm going to
feet.
try to use more of the knowledge we learned about these murders and see if I can't start narrowing it down a little bit more.
Sure.
I do have occultism too, so I can start thinking about whether or not there would be a
Sure. Are you
reason behind
sharing
these
any of your
murders.
medical knowledge with the rest of the party?
Yeah, I would have done that throughout the day.
Okay. So if anyone is trained in either nature or occultism, give me one of those checks. You get to pick, because the DC is higher for one of them, but I'm not telling you which one.
Alrighty.
Okay. I'll take a nature.
25 total.
25 on which one?
Emma. The medicine. You said, would you say nature or occultism? Occultism.
Nature or occultism?
Yeah, occultism from.
So that's an unnatural 22 for nature for Zaldor.
Okay.
Mine's actually a 15 natural. Sorry, I misspoke. I'm misreading the sheet for Cadwin.
Mine's a 19 for occultism.
I got a 21 in occultism.
So anybody that broke 20 in nature or 25 in occultism?
Not
Do we
me.
have
Me.
those that qualify?
Yes, I broke 20 for nature.
So what you do know about some of the elements of it's called the First World in the Pathfinder setting, sort of a rough draft for the prime material plane, is where the Fae call home. Some things you do know about the Fae that they are no strangers to magic. They are no strangers to tricks. And some of the darker elements are certainly no strangers to murder. And the other thing that you would remember about them, if there's a broken deal or a deal they assume is broken, depending on which element of the Fae you are dealing with, there could be pretty high prices. Nothing that you know in your history with workings on these bodies, but it seems like that could happen. You just don't know what you would be looking for.
Okay. I'll relay my findings to the rest of the group.
Okay. All right. So if that is all we are doing for that, be out to the temple in the morning. And Samuel sort of wakes you all up excitedly before dawn. Says, "All right, we got to get there right at dawn. It's going to be gorgeous. You're going to love this. It's a really beautiful place. Serene almost." And so you do start moving closer to what you do see is a forest and assume is the Arthfell, but are coming upon what seems to be a smaller outcropping of trees. And then as you break through some of the trees, you see a large, unfinished temple. There are birds chirping almost incessantly in the trees around the shrine. There are butterflies moving about between the bushes. Every once in a while, you'll hear a bee buzzing past you. The shadows all seem to sort of stretch long here in the early morning light. And as you sort of approach just a little bit closer, you are starting to make out writing on the pillars that are near to the north side of the temple that you are looking at. It's at this point that Samuel grins and shouts, "I wonder if there are any new messages," and runs for the pillars. And then when he gets to one of them, he just stops. We go in a little bit closer to the temple.
Sure.
Yeah. I'll sort of like jog up to where he's at.
Says, "There's something new. What the?" He waits for the rest of you to catch up, but and then he points at something that's relatively fresh and seems to be painted on in white paint to these pillars. It's in common. It says, "Steal your shadow, steal your soul, steal your body, steal you whole." Is that a threat? What is going on? Can I get a perception check from each of you?
Sure.
At this point, that Samuel holds up a hand and sort of then gives you a shush motion.
11 for
That'll
Emlaghmore.
That'll be a 18 for Zaldor.
And an 18 as well.
For Gishkim, that's a natural 20, and then it's a 29.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. So, Cadwin, you had 18 on perception, and 18 for Gishkim. And Zaldor, you had
29
what?
for Gishkim.
29, you say.
Gishkim has the 29. Zaldor has the 18.
Thank you for the correction.
You're welcome.
All right. Samuel gives you sort of a motion to wait here, and Gishkim, you heard a sound just now. You heard a faint sound. It's like a rustling, and it takes you just a moment to place it. But it seems like the sound of chains moving, like being sort of drawn away from a wall. At this point, Samuel runs into the room left side there, seemingly to investigate, and starts poking around in the shadows on that side of the building.
Okay, I'll whisper to those that are nearby to me what the sound kind of sounds like and kind of crouch down and get ready to move if I need to.
And that's Gishkim, right?
So that was Gishkim. Samuel, if none of you move in there, he is in there a while. Is anyone going to follow him after the motion to sort of halt while he investigates?
We wouldn't want to let him out of our sight.
Okay. So you're moving in pretty quickly after that. Is everyone moving right in behind him?
I'll sort of hover in the doorway if there's a doorway or anything similar.
I'll kind of position myself
This-
more towards the back
was
and the
that
right.
Zaldor just now?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Amalgam, were you doing something different?
Emlaghmore, I'm just going to kind of hover in the back with my spear. I had the lowest perception roll, so I'm kind of like not quite sure what's going on yet. Like, watching all you guys react and hear whispering, I'm like, huh? So she's a little flat-footed feeling, if you know what I mean, as a figure of speech.
Okay. Can we throw this to the grid map?
Sure. And I can place people wherever we want to place them.
Go ahead and tell me where you would be placed. Well, tell Elliot here where you would be
that's
placed.
fine. These are columns. These are 2 columns. And you said that our halfling buddy ran this way. Did he run to the left or the right? And I can move the little flat
right of the screen.
Okay, so he went over here somewhere, perhaps, and give it a second because the stream will be about 3 seconds in the past.
He is very nearly exactly there. He's 1 square to the right.
All right, there we go. Knight to kings, queen. All right, so who? Now I've forgotten who's got which mini. Gishkim, which one are you going to do? The what? Did you do in the token?
That was
No,
me.
that wasn't me.
Token was Cadwin.
Okay, gotcha.
And I would just want to be able to still see him, but I don't want to be like right next to him in case,
Yeah, sure. Give me a verbal description of where you want me to set you up.
A little bit to the right of the rightmost column there. Again, I want to be able to see him, but
Like over here? This is you, right?
the token.
You're the token, my bad. All right. So you can still see him, a line of sight, straight shot.
Yeah, something like that's good.
All right, that's cool. And then who's next?
If Zaldor was to position himself behind the other pillar, would he still be able to see Starlight?
If you are there, that wall, although it's crumbling, some of it's more substantial than the rest. He's a pretty short individual. I do not think you'd be able to see him. Remind me, as far as Lizardfolk go, do you have low light or dark vision?
No.
Neither. Okay. Then yeah, it's really hard for you to make out. You know which direction he went. You can't really see him from where you're at.
So do you want to stay that position? You like move to that slot to see if you can see him, but you can't. Do you want to move somewhere else to, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I'd just sort of like hug the pillar round until I could see him.
So maybe peeking around the corner like this or something?
Yeah.
All right, who else wants me to set you up? Who was next in the... I'm dead last in my crap 11 roll. So who got...
Gishkim, I think I'm going to be 2 squares to the left of Zaldor.
Okay. Maybe about behind the column? To the left of him, so maybe about here, you say? Give it a second to catch up.
Yes.
Okay. And I said I was going to kind of hover in the back with. She has a spear in her hand. This miniature just looks like a cleric, but I'm just going to
Mhm.
hover in the back near Cad,
Mhm.
just to keep an eye on what's going on. And she's still kind of like, huh, what's going on? Hear the whispering and not sure what's going on. She's a little flat-footed.
So as that's Gishkim and Zaldor up there in front, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As Gishkim and Zaldor sort of round the corner, you do see Samael standing there with a strange look on his face, and almost like slack-jawed in disbelief. But you're also seeing him staring straight at in what you recognize as the regalia of an Andoran eagle. And do you have that picture of the eagle knight
I sure do.
around?
I sure do. Give me just half a second. I'll bring them up. It'll be on the right panel in just a moment.
He has this classic blue coat regalia and these golden epaulets. And right now, he's also bound to the wall with chains and has a star knife stuck into his chest
Yikes.
and seems to be in the process of dying. So at this point, you'll be somewhat happy and some, I'm sure, not so happy to know that that perception roll was actually initiative.
Wonderful.
And the first in initiative order, let me look at my list of the ones I rolled initiative for. Ooh, that's rough. The first in initiative order. Do you have those tokens around?
I sure do. How many do you need?
I need one right in back of whoever has the flowing cloak on screen.
Behind
That's
them?
me.
Like to the north of them, perhaps? If the top of
To the north of them,
Okay.
the adjacent square.
Like this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Bastards. Okay. How many more?
And those of you who aren't currently being attacked from behind do see sort of the shadows start to gather and develop into almost a form and almost not. It's hard to keep track of while it's in an area of shadow. And it reaches out with a claw to try to strike at this individual. Was this Zaldor or Gishkim?
Should I pull a picture up of that nastiness?
That is myself, and that's Zaldor.
Okay.
I have an AC of 20.
Okay. So being beat by its stealth roll for initiative on your perception means that you are flat-footed to this thing.
Yeah, so that'll drop to an 18.
Oh.
Yeah. That is going to drop your AC to 2 less, which you say is 18?
Yeah.
And let me see where I have him pulled up in the book. Stat block. And so it's going to be a 20 to hit.
Will hit.
20 beats your AC. You suffer 7 negative damage as this claw sort of rakes through you, and then you feel some of the energy siphon out of you.
Ooh, not pleasant.
Yeah. And with its second action, so in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, everyone has 3 actions. Not a swift action, not a move action, not an attack action, just 3 actions. First action on this creature was going to be an attack, and its second one, having just struck you, it leaves the claw in and starts to siphon some of your energy away. And it's this weird sensation. You feel like your own shadow is almost being pried away from your body. And you are, since it was successful on the strike, you are enfeebled 1.
Oh.
Great. Let me just bring up my condition card so I can figure out what that is.
Yikes.
Enfeebled 1 is going to put you down strength-based rolls. Okay. And it's going to take its second strike, which would put it at a multiple penalty. -5 on that weapon. And it's going to be a 15 to hit you.
So that will miss.
That will miss. Okay. You are enfeebled 1. That is the end of this thing's turn. And it is currently your turn.
Okay, that's good.
You have 3 actions.
And that's Zaldor, correct?
Yes, this would be Zaldor.
I'm going to pull the sheet up so people
Sorry,
can
no, this
follow.
would be Gishkim.
Gishkim,
got
my
Let's
bad.
say I got the 29.
This would be Gishkim. who got
That's
the 29.
right.
Can we assume that I already had a weapon out after hearing the noise while we were walking, or is that?
Yeah, I would assume if you
Yep, you cut off there.
told about the noise, I am okay with you all being armed currently.
Okay. All right. Is there like rubble laying around, like rocks, stones, clutter?
There is.
Okay.
In quite a few places.
All right. So for my first action, since he is so close, I'm gonna take my first 2 actions and use telekinetic projectile and have one of the rocks nearby fling itself over and try and knock this guy.
Okay, the little shadow creature.
Hmm?
All right, go ahead and make the spell attack roll.
Oh. That is a 13. I rolled a 2.
A 2.
Oh no. The 13 does miss this creature. So
Okay.
the rock floats for a bit, flings itself at the shadow, or this weird creature, and then falls just short of it.
So I noticed that this one's kind of hard to hit, and so with my third action, I'm gonna use the Hunt Prey ability,
Yes.
and that's gonna end my turn.
So you are going to designate this as your prey. Do you get a Hunter's Edge as the class dedication for the Ranger?
No, I do not.
You do not. Okay.
What is Hunt Prey? Teach me something.
Since I took the Ranger dedication, I can use the Hunt Prey ability as long as I can see the creature, or if I'm seeking it while we're exploring, or while I'm like getting its tracks and trying to find it while using the survival skill. I can designate as my prey. I'll get a +2 to perception and a +2 to survival checks,
Okay.
in regards to my prey, and I can ignore the first range penalty for any range weapons I'm using.
Cool. So I'm guessing you've turned around to try to face him to do your telekinetic projectile to him.
Right.
Then.
Yeah. So the telekinetic projectile, like damage spells, is going to be 2 actions to use, and then the designation as the Hunt Prey would be that third action. And this was Gishkim's turn. At which point, looking back through the numbers I have listed, it's going to be. No one was before the 22, correct? I've got a 22 on my list.
Nope.
So at this point, those of you that still have line of sight on good old Sammy Sparkles there. Sammy starts to grow in size. His limbs start to distend, his mouth opens, and his teeth start to form into points, his hands into claws. He seems to be about 5 or 6 feet tall now. And he opens his mouth and has this hideous inhaling gasp inward as some of the color fades from this Eagle Knight and seems to go into whatever is standing where Samael Starlight used to be.
Yikes.
And he turns with this terrible visage to all of you and stands there saying, "Just one more now. Then no one will forget my name." And that is where he ends his and took all 3. Or that activity took all 3 actions. 18s. We've got Zaldor and Cadwin here. I'm of the mind that if you want to designate who goes first in this scenario, you can. Otherwise, we can break the tie with a dexterity modifier, or if it comes down to it, a flat roll.
Well, I would argue that I would be second of the 2, purely because I currently have Shadow Fist in me. So.
Yeah, that's fine. He can go.
All right. Go ahead, Zaldor.
Okay. I think the first thing I'm going to do is Shocking Grasp.
Right. Shocking Grasp, go ahead and roll the spell attack. This has to be an adjacent creature, which lucky.
Right, that wheelie bin.
It's my dice tower. That is a total of 21.
21 does hit this creature. Damage on the Shocking Grasp.
What spell level did you cast it at?
Oh, so that's an interesting discussion as well.
Yeah.
As you're a
Cantrips
sorcerer.
auto heighten to your spell level of 3.
Well, Shocking Grasp is a
Your
normally
signature.
would be a first level spell, but it is my signature. So
Oh,
I
sorry,
am going
it
to
is
be.
not a cantrip.
Yeah.
That's that other game.
Okay, so I will be casting it as a second level spell.
Okay.
So it's going to be 3d12 instead of 2d12.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then persistent electric damage after that too, I think, right?
Yep. From what I've got here. If the target is wearing metal, you can have +1 circumstance bonus to attack roll with Shocking Grasp if they've got metal. The target also takes 1d4 persistent electric damage on a hit.
This thing does not seem to be wearing metal.
No, so I've only got 2d12, so I'm going to roll both. Third one afterwards. Believe it or not, that is actually both 12s on the dice. And if you need a second opinion, I can get my fiance to confirm.
I would believe you.
That is
That's
totally
all right.
okay.
That's
I have
good.
seen crazier things happen.
So that's 24 on that, and then the third and final one is an 8.
Nasty. 32.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I'll mark off that I've used a second level as my pen. And that's
All right, and this thing's form, sort of the lightning gather, parts of it start to rip away, but it seems to try to gather itself back up. It's a little thinner than it seemed before.
good. That's 2 of my actions.
Yep.
So my final action is going to be to book it a little bit away from the creature. I will stand in that square just to from where we've got the camera view currently to the square diagonally to the right of Gishkim.
Okay, sorry. Say that one more time. I was reading something. So you said
That's all right.
say one more time.
The square diagonally to the right of Gishkin from the camera view that we're currently on.
Okay, diagonally to the right. So you're gonna go like to the southeastern corner, kind of behind him.
Yeah.
All right. You let me know in a
So I
second
have-
if that looks right. So you're kind of swooping around behind him, taking like a 1-2 step or something to
Yeah,
put
because
your buddy between him and.
I have a long spear, so my idea is to sort of come behind him. Oh, wrong model.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm the one being attacked.
I'm sorry about that.
That's all right. But yes, my idea is to sort of just retreat a little bit. And because I've got a long spear. If
Okay,
anyone tries to
So you're the
approach me,
cloak dude that I remember, right? So you want to be
Yeah.
maybe here or right here. Take a second to see.
Yeah.
So not next to him, but one square behind him. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Okay, let me
that
put the
one.
overhead view so you can see better. Sorry about that. I'm trying to play
Yeah.
camera guy, and I was reading Shocking Grass and enamored by the spell. So does that look a little bit better?
Yeah, from what I can see here, that is the exact
All right.
position.
And I have
want
no
it to
problems
be.
moving stuff around. It's not an annoyance. So this is going to be you now. This is where you are now. And this is Mr.
Yeah.
Batty.
Yes, so
Okay.
that's where I wanted to be, and I'm sort of just going to be brandishing my long spear, ready for.
Yeah, you can
Gish
trip your friend to his
follow.
death.
Well, the long spear has reach.
Oh, yeah.
So-
I've got one too. So, all right.
You moved how many feet?
So that would be
1, 2, 3, 4.
4
Okay.
squares, 20 feet.
So that is technically a stride action, not a step action. But the thing about Pathfinder 2, not everybody has that attack of opportunity as an option for a reaction. So when you
Thank
move away
God.
from this thing, it does not strike out at you.
Good. We've now established it doesn't have attack of opportunity.
Or it chose not to use it in that situation.
Maybe it's still
True.
stunned.
Because of your perception roll for the initiative and the fact that it beat one of these things on its stealth roll, you are seeing currently, it's to the bottom right of the right pillar. There's another token.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to be another one of these shadowy.
Let's go to
From this
overhead
angle-
view so you can see a little bit better.
Sure, thank you.
Sorry about that. I don't know where my producer puppy is tonight. I think she's sleeping.
Strangely enough, that is the square it occupied.
It's so much easier when you're really close to it.
Yeah.
So another shadowy looking tendril,
Yeah.
life-sucking bastard.
And as this thing sees you sort of drop your gaze to it, it starts to move in your direction, coming out from the shadows so that most people now will be able to see this, and darts directly towards, this was Zaldor that was over there.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
How far? How
But it goes on 18 as well.
Oh, I am so sorry. It goes on 17. So I apologize. Let's not move that yet.
Okay.
It is definitely.
Makes
Sorry.
it Cad's turn.
Yeah, it's Cat's turn. I started rearranging my numbers.
Oh, I know it's all exciting when you're thinking about clobbering characters. So for my first action, I would like to use a recall knowledge to see if I recognize these creatures in some fashion, and perhaps roll occultism.
Sure, your first action, occultism or religion, if you have.
And that's Cad talking, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's Cat.
If you're giving me the choice, I'll roll occultism because it's a little higher.
Okay.
And I got a 17.
17. You don't really know what this is.
Alrighty
You've
then.
read about them. You don't know what these are.
We'll just start with some probing spell attacks then. I will cast Disrupt Undead on the first one.
Disrupt Undead on that one that is already strike. Yes.
It's just within my range of 30 feet.
Got it. It's been attacked. Go ahead, and that's a Disrupt Undead, is it not?
I'm sorry, you cut out a bit there. It's a cantrip.
It's a cantrip. Is it a spell attack roll to hit?
No, it just makes a fortitude saving throw.
Fortitude save, provided this is undead. What is your spell save DC?
1.
You're 21, right?
Your spell DC is 21. Okay, so it's 15
I spoke for
fail.
him. I don't know if that's correct. That's what I'm seeing on the sheet. You speak for
That's
yourself,
correct,
Ken. Yeah,
though.
my bad.
Yep.
Okay. So its 15 is going to fail that. And the unfortunate thing is this is also an undead creature. So your effect versus undead,
A 3d6 plus my spellcasting modifier, and I rolled terribly for a total of 11 damage.
total of 11 damage. What type of damage is this?
Positive.
It's positive energy.
All right. This thing seems to be barely hanging on at this point. The bright sort of light that erupted from your finger as you finished casting Disrupt Undead crackles through the air, hits this thing on where you think a humanoid shoulder would be, and one of its arms comes off. It disappears and doesn't come back.
Yikes.
You have one action left, correct?
Not recall knowledge takes an action.
You're correct. So those were your 3 actions. At that point, it is the second of these creatures' turns, who is going to run streaking through the sunlight over to where Zaldor's at.
How far movement?
Movement on these for one action, it moves 30 feet.
So 25 will put it right where the pin is, which would put it here. You tell me where you want to position.
That is exactly where he would go, straight ahead.
It's a family get-together.
Yep. And this is going to strike at Zaldor. Well, second action, try to make this strike.
Am I still flat-footed, or
You are not. You know this where this thing is. You have seen it, and you are aware of it, that they are around.
so that's a 20.
So it's a 28 to hit you.
That's beat me by 8.
Sirs again. Who's got heavy armor?
And this is going to be 12 negative damage as the claw rakes through your abdomen.
Ow.
Yeah.
And its third action is to pull again at your life force, and you feel almost through your feet your shadow being torn away from you. You were enfeebled 1 currently, yes?
Yeah.
And now you are enfeebled 2. So that was this thing's action. That was Cad who just went. Amalgam, I have it
Emlaghmore.
spelled differently. Sorry.
I changed
what
this. Yeah, Emlaghmore. It's okay. It's a small field in the middle of Northern Ireland.
Emlaghmore.
Okay, so it's my turn, right?
Emlaghmore, it is your turn. You have 3 actions.
Okay. Let's see where we got here. So this would be 1, 2, 3 diagonals, which are going to count as 10 each. So he's the most wounded one, correct? The first fellow that just got attacked, or the British fella's hurt most. Who's hurt the most? Is it Zaldor or Gishkim? From appearance.
Only Zaldor.
Yes.
Zaldor is the only one who's gotten hit.
Okay, I'm just gonna stay put where I am, and I'm gonna pop my Angelic Halo first.
Explain to me what that one does.
I pull it up here real quick because
I know that's
I haven't played a Sorc before, but this is a. Here we go. So it's verbal, 1 action, 15-foot emanation. It lasts a minute. An aura that increases allies' healing from the heal spell. Heal spell gain +2 status bonus to hit points healed to your allies in the area. Now I wasn't sure whether that would affect my next spell, which was then going to be a heal, because I've never done it before. So does that, the way it's worded, it's kind of weird. It's one of those like your allies spell. Does that include my own? They don't really say that. Because if it wasn't going to include what I'm going to do next, then I would never do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you guys think when it says that you gain an Angelic Halo with an aura that increases allies' healing from the heal spell? Means if I cast that first and then cast a heal, it'll be a more powerful heal.
I agree
But
with
it
rules
ha-
is written.
but he has to be within 15 feet of you.
Right.
Correct.
For that emanation to work. So I'm just going to cast, and I would know that from the distance judge it. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the mistake. Honestly, I'm going to pop Angelic Halo first. It's just verbal, and then I'm actually going to use my strat action move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be right into the pack with everyone there. That'll be my stride action, and then I'll use my spear to try and jab this guy here with my spear.
Okay. Go ahead and make the attack roll since your weapon has reach.
Okay. So for me, we're talking about it's 11 in addition to the d20 roll. 12 and plus 11 is 23.
23 does hit. Go ahead and roll damage.
And it's 1d8 plus 4 for the strength. 1.
This was the one that just struck Zaldor, yes?
It's the one that just closed the gap.
Right.
The guy that's now in the crowd. So I rolled a 1, and but it's plus the strength bonus of 4, so you got a 5, which is pretty paltry, but at least I'm in a better position now.
Okay.
And the Angelic Halo is
shove
on.
the spear directly into this thing,
and
it's almost like the shadows part around the spear to let it through, and then snap right back together.
Good to know. All right, that's all my actions, I do believe.
All right. At that point, we are back to the top with the first shadow that is incredibly wounded, who is going to close the gap here with... that one's Gishkim.
Yeah, that's me.
So it's going to step forward 5 feet to be sort of diagonal from Gishkim and make a strike. It's a 22 to hit you.
Really hit.
Okay. And you are going to suffer 12 negative damage.
Ow.
And it uses its third action again to pull at your shadow. And it feels like it's being drawn away from actual body. You are enfeebled 1.
Now, what does enfeebled 1 condition do? Do you guys teach me that? Does it like lower your strength or your strength modifier?
So enfeebled 1 is going to take that number penalty to any strength-based roll.
So if he were to attack with a melee weapon or something, it would just reduce
any
it?
strength, melee attacks that are based off strength.
Oh, gotcha.
And strength skill checks like athletics, things like that.
How's he looking, our ally here?
I'm fine.
So that was Gishkim.
That's the first time I've gotten hit in combat.
All right, Gishkim, it is your turn.
Well, he's still my prey, so, you know.
It certainly is.
I'm going to try and use telekinetic projectile again to throw a nearby rock at him. I really need him to die at this point.
Okay. Go ahead and make the spell attack roll.
The wave of my hand, 21.
Okay. A rock shoots out from the side of the rubble there and smashes this thing where you think a head is. There are 2 sort of burning white things that might be eyes, might also not be. It's hard to tell. And it does strike. Roll the damage on telekinetic projectile.
It should be 14.
14. And it's what type of damage?
Since it's a rock, it should be bludgeoning.
It'd be bludgeoning with telekinetic projectile. However, where was that guy's hit points at? It was a mistake to put these in 2 different places. You hit it with this rock, and the rock falls behind it, but the shadow also just dissipates in a puff of smoke and doesn't look like it's coming back together.
Did it look like it vanished or it looked like it was vanquished?
Oh, it looked more like the second.
Well, we'll just turn him over then. Until notified otherwise.
Yeah.
All right, and we're doing XP based on who killed it, right?
We're doing XP based on milestone because I'm lazy. And I might also not be leading the next time. All right, so that was
that's
that.
2 actions.
Correct.
Let me give you overhead view.
Yes.
Sure.
And with my last action, I'm going to give a few words in a weird language, and I'm going to cast Shield.
All right. You cast Shield, and that increases your AC by 1 until your next turn, correct? Counts as having raised a shield, and you use the block feat.
But I don't need to.
All right, that was Gishkim's term there. Then we, whatever creature this is, that our friend Samael turned into, he starts to chant a couple of words in a language I'm guessing. No. Does anyone have Aklo?
I do.
You have Aklo?
Yes, I do. I'm a creepy elf.
Wow! Yay!
That's hilarious. What are the
So
odds?
he sees some. He says something to the effect, "They won't be seeing me now," and he blinks out. He is no longer standing there, and you.
Hope we lost you there audio-wise.
Sorry.
That's okay.
He has become, to all intents and purposes, you don't know where he has gone.
Wonderful.
And that is the end of his. The 18, the first one we've got Zaldor.
Okay. I am going to use Searing Light on the one that's in front of me.
Point blank range, right? In the
Point
face.
blank, Searing Light. Because it's undead, it takes an additional 5d6, so that's 10d6 worth of fire and positive damage.
Ow.
All right. Could you give me those numbers separately?
Okay.
And what kind of a saving throw is this? Or is it an attack?
So it is an attack roll.
Okay.
So I need to roll that first. I have plus 11 to my d20. And I rolled a 14.
So you're
25 in total.
25 in total. This does strike this thing.
Okay. So you make the ray deals 5 to 6 fire damage. If the target is a fiend or undead, you deal an extra 5d6 good damage. So it's not positive, it's just good damage.
Okay.
Ow.
Roll them both and give me them separately, please.
For this, I'm going to use the dice roller on my phone.
What, we don't get to hear the wheelie bin again?
I'd say it'll sound like a rock fall. It'll be really nice.
I want to hear
can
the
do it for
I want to hear
effect.
the I want to hear the chock full of nuts coffee can with the bolts in it again.
One with one hand, do the other with the other hand, and just multitask it for effect.
You should type it in the channel for dramatic effect, and I can pull the channel window up if you want.
Yeah, no, I'll do that. Hang on.
There you go. Let's see if we can get that in here.
Right, so we're doing. So that's the first lot.
It's letting you down.
Ooh.
It is, yeah.
So 10 was the fire.
Yeah, that's the
and then this is
5d6
the good damage. Which
Six-
did better.
So 10 and 16.
Okay. So it takes a pretty fair amount of damage. It seems to be reeling from the shot. Stares down what it can prey at this point. Adjust that. That was Zaldor's turn. Do you have a third action?
So my third action, because I'm quite hurt, is going to be to move away again.
Okay.
This time I will move behind.
I'll change the view for you so you can see a little better.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go?
Behind you, actually.
All right.
So just
Diagonally?
to your left. So
How
you're
about
facing
here?
the way you're just to the left of where you're facing.
Do you need a skirt to hide behind, or
It's more the fact that I've been like the target of these attacks.
You have been.
And I
Let's
am
say.
don't worry?
I'm a diplomat,
Don't-
and I'm used to hiding behind guards.
I want to hear the voice acting. I want to hear the oh shit in the accent again. This sucks. This sucks with the Beavis and Butthead / lizard accent. Do it, man. Do
This is
it.
a terrible
This-
turn of events.
I don't like this at all.
I do not want to lose my shadow today.
I don't lose my shit today. Anyway, I'm just being silly. Good
Okay. So then we had Cad is up.
Okay. With my first action, I am going to cast Spirit Link. Is it Zaldor that's hurt more?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have been the focus of all of the damage today.
Okay.
It's a Brexit thing,
So-
probably.
Got hit
These are all,
once.
these are EU Schengen shatter bastards, Lithuanian ATM machine skimmers.
Well, if that was the
If you-
case, they'd be leaving me alone.
There you go. They're like good riddance. Greek bankers. Anyway, I'm just being silly. All right,
know.
I want to hear about this spell. It sounds really cool. Tell us all about it.
First of all, would you be a willing recipient of some healing magic?
Of course.
Okay. So if you would put yourself back at full hit points and tell me how many that is.
That will be a total of 48.
48 hit points you've taken.
Oh no, my max is 48.
I just how much
I'm
healing?
currently on 29.
Oh,
So
that's 19.
yeah.
You gain 19 hit points, and I take 19 hit points of damage.
Oh.
I'm remembering Spirit Link differently.
Let's look it up.
I have it right here.
Oh yeah, cool. What does it say?
What do you-
What page number is it? I want to learn about this spell.
And I have Path Builder up on my phone. So
What?
I can
We don't have
bring
books.
it up on my spellpad.
Spirit Link, page 371. Well, spans 2 pages. You form a spiritual link with another creature and allow you to take its pain when you cast. This is called marriage. When you cast a spell and at the start of each of your turns, if the target is below maximum hit points, you regain 2 hit points, or the difference between the current and maximum hit points, if that's lower. This sounds like a legal document. You lose as many hit points as the target regained. This is a spiritual transfer, so no effects apply that would increase the hit points the target. Okay, now we're getting into the monted
so
descriptions.
he won't heal until the beginning of my next turn.
That's a much better answer.
You regain 2 hit points, so when you cast this spell, you regain 2 currently if you cast it. And then you will gain another 2 next turn. And you're taking these away from Cad as you are gaining. And then the next turn you'll gain another 2 until you are back at full.
Okay, so it's not up to 4 yet then.
Why does it say what the difference between its current and maximum hit point if that's lower?
That's future proofing against if there's some way to change the number to And when you heighten it, it can be 4 and then 6 and so on.
So
But
I will heighten it then.
okay. But if like it takes 6 from you and he doesn't need 6 that turn, he only needs 3, it's only going to take the 3. And it lasts for 10 minutes.
Okay, so how many am I regaining with the heightened version?
What level are you casting it at, Cad?
Level.
Did you say 3rd?
3rd level, yes.
Okay, so then you are gaining 6 points when it is cast. And you will gain another 6 at the start of, I think it's Cad's next turn.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you very
Cad
much.
marked 6 points off of your own, and you have 1 action left, correct?
Yes, I do. I will also cast Shield.
All right. You have cast Shield. Your AC goes up by 1. You have the shield block should you choose to use it. At this point, we've got that Shadow's turn happening, and it's going to try like heck to smell blood on the air and move in a diagonal fashion to where it's adjacent to Zaldor again.
Okay, so let me just change this view here, and we can get this. The bad guy's repositioning. He's coming after him again. Where do you want to put him? Give me a verbal description with top, bottom, left, right.
Bottom left of where Zaldor currently is.
Okay. Whoops. About like that. Yep.
And it's going to reach out and try to make that strike against Zaldor. It's a 27 to hit you.
That is
Lizard hater.
Is it 10 above your AC?
Yeah, he's only 20.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not 10 above. So it's not a critical strike. And it's going to be 10 negative damage.
Okay.
And for its 3rd action, you feel that final tear that you've been dreading sort of move out through the bottom of your feet. You are enfeebled 3, and a second shadow appears where yours once stood.
Oh my goodness.
But the shadow that was once yours is now a vicious-looking monster.
So he... Oh my goodness.
It'll appear directly behind Zaldor.
Like this, perhaps, to the north of it?
Yes.
Okay. Who's next?
At that point, we have... it's you.
Okay, now teach me something here, guys. I've got the heal spell. I want to do this the point blank area effect 3 action casted version, but the way I did it on my the way I did it on my path builder, it's picked as a level 1 signature spell. Does that mean I get to get casted at a higher level? Isn't that how that works in Pathfinder versus like AD&D? So I could cast this at level 3 version of heal?
Yes, you could.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want to do all 3 actions to make it the point blank area effect version to heal and damage everything in the area. Also, that Halo, Angelic Halo thing is going to affect it as well. I think I got a picture of that in here too. So I want to get the Angelic Halo to modify it. Does that Angelic... Go ahead, you about to say something?
Yeah, it'll be +2 to everyone who is healed by this spell.
Right. So that means we're going to do 3d8. Does it get modified by any of my characters' statistics or anything?
It does not.
Only the Halo.
Only the Halo. So the Halo adds +2 to the final number. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't add it per die. And the heal is just going to be a number of dice that I'm casting at, which is level 3, so it'll be 3d8. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So there's no
Yes.
bonus from my spell ability or anything else, or a wisdom modifier or anything like that. Okay, just want to be sure. I'm trying to learn how to do it because I haven't played that before. So we're just going to roll 3d8 and add 2. All right?
Okay.
So this is a decent one. So we got a 15 and a 6 is 21, and then we add 2, so we got 23 total.
Okay. So the living creatures in a 30-foot radius around Emlaghmore here are going to get back that many hit points, and unfortunately, there are some undead in as well. They have to make a fortitude save, yes?
I'm guessing so. Let me double check this to see if I can learn how to do it properly.
Yes.
Yep, fortitude save.
Okay, versus your 20, we've got one that fails and one that makes it.
Now my
The one that fails is the one that has already been damaged.
Mhm.
So the total number on
Oops,
the healing was, again, without the +2.
let's see what we got on screen here. So we have 8 and 7 is 15 plus 6 gives us 21, base 21 without the Angelic Halo +2 bonus at the end. So it's 21
Okay.
or 23 is the two numbers.
Got it. And this wave of light sort of streaks out from you. And the one that chased down Zaldor and ripped his shadow out is now looking like it's hanging for dear life.
You could just let me know if I'm within 30 feet, and if I got the benefit of that, that would be great. I know I'm still a little bit away.
Let's see, according to our battle map here, let me give an overhead view for you real quick. Appreciate all the patience with the camera swapping monkey business. So this is the center of me, so this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So that radius is going to be, I don't have the marker version of this battle map. That 30-foot radius is like this big as my hands. So he would get hit by that quite easily.
really
Everyone, the whole
big.
party's going to get hit by it.
Perfect.
And any sneaky bastards too will get hit by it.
Mm-hmm. Any sneaky undead ones, anyway.
So, quick question for you guys to teach me something, and maybe other people who never played Sorcerer before. So, on my character sheet, which I'm going to pull up again here real quick, I know it looks a little muddled and ugly looking. When I was filling out my character sheet and picking my spells as a Sorcerer, I picked Heal as a level 1 spell. So, it's listed as a signature spell. How does that change the mechanics? If you're anyone playing a cleric or druid that has a spell, can they say, "Listen, I'm going to cast heal at level 5, level 6, level 7, level 8," if they are allowed to appropriately? How does that work?
Okay. So, because it's a signature spell and you're a spontaneous caster, with a signature spell, you can heighten it without having to know it as the higher level, and use any of your available higher level slots than the one that it's in.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you've got it in first, so you can put it you can cast it at first, second, or third because it's a signature spell. Otherwise, you would normally have to also know that spell in second and third if you wanted to cast it in either of those. But you don't need to have it in second if you wanted to cast it in third. In terms of if you knew it as a first level heal spell and it wasn't a signature, and then you added it again as a spell in your repertoire at third level, that is still allowed. You don't have to have it at second, but if it wasn't signature and you wanted to be able to cast it in all three, you would need to have learnt the spell in each level.
So the signature is where the flexibility comes in. Is that correct?
Yeah, so signature is where you don't have to learn it in each slot. You can just cast it at whatever slot you like to cast it in.
Okay. And I blew my focus point for my Angelic Halo, which is going to last a minute. So that's 10, old words here, 10 6-second melee round / segments from the old days. So
Yeah.
I'll have to refocus later when there's downtime or nothing's going on for me to get that point back. Isn't that how that works?
Yes.
All right, cool. Thanks for explaining that, and hopefully that helps other people learning how sorcerers can spontaneously cast stuff. Cool. Hope it helps.
All right. So at that point in initiative, we've got. So you use the 3-action heal. We are back up to the top, which is now Gishkim.
Hey. All right.
Good. Good news. I'm at full hit points, so have at it.
I'm not dead yet.
Yes.
Right?
So I'm gonna see Samael, or who we thought was Samael, disappear, and I am gonna be very angry. But after seeing Zaldor get healed back up, I'm gonna be a little less worried about him, and I'm gonna focus back on Samael, and I'm gonna use my first 2 actions, and I'm gonna cast See Invisibility as a 2nd level spell.
Well,
And that's
You can't.
Gishkim, right?
yeah, that's fine. So see invisibility. Walk me through the distance on that one.
So there's no distance. So as far as I can see invisible objects as translucent shapes.
Okay. And the way the seek action works, if you were, what was the last action you took last turn?
Last turn I put my shield up.
Okay. But you said you were turning around to start wondering where this person had left to. So you're now facing that way, and you're seeing in about a 30-foot cone in that direction without using actions to augment it. And you do see something translucent, and it's not far from you. There is, if you could put Samuel's tokens back on,
Mm-hmm.
he's sort of in that fern there.
Maybe about here?
I don't know.
It may
Yes,
take a
there.
second to show up. Sorry. There's like a 3-second. Just pretend you're playing from the North Pole and Antarctica simultaneously, and there's no internet, but it's a dial-up modem.
So yeah,
So
that
he's-
is where you're seeing the outline
Oh my
of
goodness.
this individual.
Are we treating it that I had to seek to find him and use that action then?
No, I'm treating it as you had said you were casting the spell, and he happens to be there, so he is in your line of sight without seeking him.
All right. I've still had my ranged weapon up this whole time, and I think I am gonna use my sling against him with my 3rd action to try and hit him. Is he considered concealed to me?
He is in fact considered concealed because you can only see the outline of him.
I rolled a 9, so that should mean that I can still hit him if I end up rolling high enough.
Right, so that is the flat check. You only have to beat 5 or better. Now you can roll the attack.
Sweet. All right, so that's going to be a 23 to hit.
23 to hit this creature. Misses.
Oh,
The sling, you thought it was dead on, but it goes just underneath, like the line of. Okay.
would it take an action to like warn or say something about the fact that that's where Samael went, or is that a free action?
Speaking is a free action, yes, as long as you don't go over, say, 6 seconds.
All right, so I'm just gonna yell, like, I can see, blur of his outline, and where I attack him, I guess that is indicating where he might be.
Okay. So the unfortunate part is that Gishkim's the only one that can see this, and so he's pointing it out to you. But the next thing to act is this creature. Measuring distance. Who's going to come up between Gishkim and Emlaghmore and strike at Emlaghmore.
Okay.
Breaking its invisibility.
All right. Well, she is AC 20, if I remember correctly.
Okay. If you're unaware of where this is or different, you should be flat-footed to the attack.
So I lose 3 off my dexterity, I believe. Excuse me, off my armor class. So that drops it down to 17 or 2. And my dex, I have 3 added to my armor from dex. Correct?
Don't lose it all, though.
Usually it's 2. That's right. The flat number. Sorry, guys. Okay.
That's all right.
It's different in this edition of Pathfinder, so
Yeah, I'm trying to.
So it's a 16 to hit you,
Okay.
and that misses. Yes.
Keep swinging.
And his second action is going to be third action. Is going to be a second strike, which comes in at a modifier lower than this, but he's blown the flat-footed.
So is this a regular MAP for him now? Multiple attack penalty?
Correct. So if he's striking with an agile weapon,
It's only
be a
minus.
-4 on the second attack. If he doesn't have agile on his weapon, 5. On
Okay.
third attacks, those numbers become -8 and -10 respectively.
Okay. Well, I'm at AC
So
20 then.
this one total is 23 to hit you.
Okay, that hits me.
Okay, and he is going to. This is 9 slashing damage,
Okay. That's it.
and I need you to make a will save.
All right. Let's do the will save. We have +10 on our will save. 4 plus 10 is a total of 14.
14. You are frightened too.
Okay.
So you feel this sense of fear and dread just sink into your being.
So that means all my checks have a penalty of 2. Is that correct? Okay.
That does
It's like being
include attack.
debuffed. All right. Gripped with fear and struggle to control your nerves. Okay. Not a very good martial artist. Okay, frightened 2. I'll just put F2 on my sheet here so I can see. All right.
That was this thing's turn. Now it is over to Zaldor.
Okay. So Zaldor is going to sort of accept his fate a little bit and stay where he is. He is then going to shoot off an electric arc,
Okay.
which will hit 2 targets, which is going to be the 2 shadows.
Got it. And do you make a second attack roll, or do you make 1 attack each of them?
I am
Well-
bringing it up now so I can let you
Or am
know.
I wrong? And this is a saving throw.
You get a basic reflex save,
Basic
Yeah.
reflex.
Basically,
and he rolls damage individually for each one based on
Yes,
this.
so I'll be rolling 3d4.
Reflex saves. One of them
Basic reflex. Yep.
is a critical success, and the other is just a success.
Success takes half damage, and the critical success takes no damage.
So let me take.
How do you know that? Teach me something there. Is on electric arc, it doesn't say anything about it, just says basic reflex. Is there a rata or something that changes it to clarify?
So that there's rules somewhere for what a basic reflex
Oh,
save
okay.
does.
All right.
So what they did for a bunch of spells is they just said we don't want to keep putting what
Repeating
happens on a save. They just called it a basic.
Gotcha.
And because that spell is very ubiquitous, most game masters will end up remembering exactly what happens on saves for that spell.
Cool. Thanks for explaining that.
So the basic save is set up: critical success, no damage; success, half damage; failure, full damage; critical failure, double damage.
And for people who are following along at home, that's on page 449 of the core rulebook.
So that is.
Leave a comment and say
total-
thank you for the page number.
That is a total of 6.
All right. Total of 6. Did you have it already?
No, that was before halving.
Okay. So it's the one in back of you. The second one does not get the critical. And so it takes some damage. some of the lightning zips from the first target to the second one, and seems to take hold there for a second before.
Then I will move.
Let me give you a better view too.
Yeah, I will move as far as I can
Towards the farm.
No, towards the pillar to the right, but below it, if I can.
Meet towards these shadows that's off to the right, then over this way. Is that what you're saying? I'm trying to point. I know it'll take a second for my hand to show up.
Yeah, roughly there. If I can make it in 25 feet.
Are you a 25-foot stride?
Yeah. As close as I can get to that square, anyway.
That would probably put you about here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And I will call out and say, follow me. I have a plan.
Cool. I wonder if I speak raspy.
That was Zaldor's turn. Then we have Cad.
Okay, so first things first, if whoever the target of my spirit link is, that's still active.
I am at full currently.
Okay, so nothing happens. Excellent. So how many shadows are there now?
Two are alive and one reincarnated halfling with an attitude or something.
He's invisible, right?
I can't. Yeah, we can't see him.
Okay.
He broke that. He struck.
Oh, that's right. He broke it. You're right. He broke that when he took a swap at me.
Okay. So, and you said as these shadows take damage, they start to sort of dissipate?
It seems like.
Okay. So I'm going to target the one that's more there, that looks healthier, with Bind Undead.
Okay.
So is it considered a mindless undead creature?
Ooh, that's interesting. That'll be a neat call. I thought mindless undead
I would
only
go
lived in...
with no.
Okay, then the
Go with no. It isn't specified, but due to the fact that it speaks at least one language,
okay,
I'm going to say that it is not mindless. It does not have a low enough score.
the spell does nothing then.
Unfortunate. So was that that's two of your actions? Did you have a third, or did you take it?
I will just cast shield.
Okay. So shield has been cast. At that point, we have Emlaghmore.
Oh my goodness. So, once again, I've cast that heal spell once before. Does that mean it's burned forever, or can I use another third level spell slot to cast it yet again? Let me show you my character sheet real quick. So I have, normally I have Vampiric Touch, Searing Light, Crisis of Faith. I've cast heal once before. It was a signature slot for level 1. Can I cast it again the same exact way I just cast it the first time?
As a spontaneous caster, yes.
Okay.
Spontaneous caster, you don't technically prepare the spell in that slot.
Mm-hmm.
You have the spells you have prepared,
Mm-hmm.
and you can use them as you see fit.
And based upon the fact that I've been in this fight, I'm standing to the right of me. Does the enemies around me seem like they're wounded or more dissipated? Except for the guy that just struck me out of nowhere, probably caught me by surprise.
The two shadows seem horribly wounded.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the one next to you is in really bad shape. The one further back,
Sure. Okay.
You're not sure.
I'm gonna cast Searing Light at point blank range at the Mr. Nasty Business who took a swap at me. So but I'm debuffed, right? I'm debuffed by -2 for being frightened. Is that correct?
You do.
All right. Let me just double check this real quick. Sorry, I'm a little slow on the paperwork. So here we go. Searing Light, 120 feet, somatic, verbal, 2 actions. This is the damage that we did earlier. So I need to roll to hit him with that spell, correct? Because it's considered an attack. It has the attack trait on it. Is that right?
Correct.
All right, so I'm going to do this roll, and we have a spell attack roll of +10. 13. Yuck. I feel sure that will do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So for go ahead.
It's a total of what?
It was a 13 total.
13 total.
So
Yeah,
I want
is going to fly wide.
okay. So I wanted the spell. Try to deliver it. It doesn't work. I'm going to use my last action. I'm using my last action to cast shield on myself and just remain put right where I am.
Got it.
And that will give me a
Shields.
yeah, well, spear, shield. Now the shield gives me a little bit of AC bonus, correct, guys?
A
+1.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's it for me.
And then also the shield block reaction if you are
Yeah.
targeted with a melee strike.
Yeah, since that happened before, I'm hoping that will help out.
Magic missile, because
Right.
that's
Or magic. So.
one of the things that's good about the spell shield is the fact that it's the only shield that can block the magic missile.
Okay, that is it. Bring it on.
The newly spawned shadow that used to be Zaldor's shadow closes the distance with Emlaghmore at this point and makes a strike.
Okay, so she's going to be AC 21 now with shield on. But
you are currently flanked, meaning you would be flat-footed to these two on either side of you, and you would be taking a -2 to that AC.
Okay, so 19 then.
And it is a 28 to hit.
Easy hit.
Okay. And it's going to do 10 negative damage.
Okay.
And it's going to start to pull at your shadow. You are also enfeebled one.
Okay.
All right. So the conditions, however, do not stack. You go with the highest one that is affecting that. So it's still the -2 on most of your rolls.
Okay.
Actually, it's -1 because frightened at the end of your turn will reduce by 1.
By 1. Okay, so I'm frightened 1 or enfeebled 1. The latest and greatest debuff is the enfeebled 1 for strength attacks, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. At that point, we are back to Gishkim.
So it just took one swing at me. It didn't do. It took one step, one 5-foot step, and then just took one melee swing. That's it.
And then its last action was to start.
Okay,
to pull
gotcha.
away with the shadow.
All right, thanks.
Gishkim, we are back to you.
Yes. I'm going to try and use... I see that this guy has reappeared, that Samael has reappeared, and since he's right next to me, I'm going to try and use Touch of Idiocy on him.
Okay. Touch of Idiocy is a what?
It's a will save.
We'll see. Let me pull up his stat block.
DC is going to be 21.
Okay. And he rolls a 20. He has failed the will save.
Okay, so he is Stupefied 2.
Stupefied 2, which for the audience?
Idiot.
So he's going to take a -2 to any intelligence, wisdom, or charisma-based check, and anytime he tries to cast a spell, it's disrupted unless he succeeds a DC 7 flat check.
Okay.
That's for 1 minute.
All right.
DC 5 plus your stupefied value, right? Okay.
All right. Then this would be, did you move? Or did you have a third action?
For my last action, I am going to slash at him with my claws.
Got it. Make the attack roll.
26.
26 does hit. Go ahead, roll damage.
3.
Okay. 3 slashing? Okay.
It's versatile, so you could have chosen to do piercing or slashing, right? The claw.
I could.
Right.
I want to make sure he can bleed, though, you know?
Oh yeah. Well, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger moment.
He does, in fact, bleed.
Good.
So now it is the newly stupefied Samuel's turn. He is going to attempt that flat check to try to cast a spell. He beats it with his 14. And he is going to cast a 3rd level Fear.
Should get a -2 to whatever he's going to do with that, right?
Yeah. So his DC, since it's based off of one of the scores, it will be lowered to. But Fear heightened at the 3rd level has a special effect. You can target up to 5 creatures in 30 feet.
Yep.
So I need 2, 3. Cad, are you within 30 feet of good old Sammy Sparkles here?
If I was within 30 feet of the heal, I would say.
Yeah, you haven't moved.
Okay. So yeah.
Coward
So
Hobbit.
can he see you? He can see you.
Yeah.
So it's 30 feet.
Actually,
and
if
I
you look-
need.
there is a pillar in the way, but I guess it's kind of half. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a bolt action player.
No, that's okay.
The center of his square to center of his square, it would go center to center, yeah. Just barely peek. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay. It's a valid point. Should be careful with stuff like that. But I need all of you to make a will.
All right.
This is a mental effect.
This is a mental effect.
Got a 28. Gishkim got a 28.
21 on Emlaghmore.
Is that a 7 or a 1? That is a nat 1 on the dice.
Oh, pull one of the cards that makes you burst into flames immediately. Your friends no longer like
so
you.
That would be 12, but I did roll a nat 1.
Are we doing rules as written that a crit fail moves it down 1 level of failure?
Yes.
Oof.
So even if you passed it with your 15, it would be down 1 into a failure instead of a success, and so on, all the way down the chain. So the DC that was lowered 2 by the stupefied effect is going to be 20. So if you succeeded, you got 20 or higher, you are currently frightened 1. If you got 30 or higher, nothing happens to you. If you are,
do we have hero points?
you do have. We'll say everybody started with 1 hero.
I'd like to spend my hero point to reroll that.
Okay.
Same. Get rid of that nat.
Not get much better, but I did get a 21.
How was that?
Hero point stuff. So technically, character or most players will point 2 hero points if your GM likes you, and 3 if you do something character. The third one is usually awarded. They can be used 1 at a time to re-roll checks. Technically, that re-roll is supposed to be before I tell you whether you succeed or fail, but that's okay. I didn't even tell you had a hero point, so that's on me for forgetting. And then you could also burn all of your hero points remaining to automatically stabilize yourself on your turn instead of rolling the flat check if you are dying. Or you could use 3 hero points at a single time to add 1 action to your turn. So those are hero points in a nutshell. What are the new numbers there?
So my new number is 17. So not much better, but at least it's not a critical fail.
All right. So below 20, you are frightened 2. If anyone did get the 10 or lower to stick, you would be frightened 3 and fleeing for 1 round.
My forlorn feat says that if I get a success, which I did, I get what's considered a critical success. So I am not frightened at all.
Nope, you
Yay.
are unaffected.
I've seen too much death.
So that was the two actions there, and he is going to try to make an attack at Gishkim, who's standing there casting spells to make him dumber. So the third action is going to be a strike, and it is a...
Cut out right as you said the number.
Sorry, 32 to hit you.
Yeah, I think that's a crit success.
Crit
C's
success?
21.
Yeah. Crit success is going to be double the damage. So you roll the dice, you add the modifier, and you double everything.
Ow.
Okay.
You take 32 damage slashing.
Oh.
That's nasty.
And were you already frightened by that other effect?
Yeah, I'm frightened 1.
Okay, I need another will save from you.
One.
A what?
21.
21 would be a failure. You are frightened 2. So that ends Samuel's turn. We are over to Zaldor.
Okay.
Still running towards the barn? Just teasing.
Well, I'm frightened now. Which means that all of my checks and DCs have -2. Okay. So the first, so I can see the thing that's done this to me, right?
Yes.
Okay. In which case, I will cast Searing Light at him.
Okay, roll the
Which is
attack.
a spell attack roll. So I get plus 11 to. And I rolled a 17, so that is a 28 to hit.
28 is a success. Go ahead and roll the damage. Tell me which one's which.
Okay. I'll do it in here again, just to make things easier. So the first lot is going to be the fire. And then that is the good damage. So 14 and then 16.
Okay. 14 fire and 16 good.
Yeah.
This sort of sends him reeling as flames sort of scorch through the tattered clothing that he had grown too large for him. And the bright white light sort of makes his eyes roll back.
Wow.
He's still standing, but he's not happy about that. Reduce that.
Now,
Okay.
in this situation, he cast through a comrade, this range spell, through this square.
Yes.
That's okay in Pathfinder 2nd Edition? He doesn't...
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of ranged spells are just going to be able to see some part of the enemy that is not in.
So it's not like a projectile or anything. In this case, it just like emanates. You point the target, look at the target, say the words, bam, it just erupts on the person, in this case, for searing light.
Right.
Because it says
There
you
are
shoot a
some
blazing
different-
ray of light-tinged holy energy. Not that I'm trying to get us killed. Make a ranged
Yeah.
spell attack. But it's magical, so you don't actually friendly fire your friends with that kind of stuff?
No, so the only time that sort of line comes into effect with Searing Light is if there's a darkness spell or there is darkness
Mm-hmm.
in that line, because it illuminates and cuts through a darkness spell in that particular line.
Okay.
That's the only time that comes into effect with this particular spell. The only time it'd be friendly fire is if it was a spell
Air
that said it
effect.
was a line or a cone.
Okay. Cool. Thanks for explaining that.
So Zaldor, I think you have one action left.
Yeah. What else can I do? Not much, really.
You also cast shield?
I do not have it. But what I could do is use one of my first level slots and do single action. Actually, no, I can't do that because I haven't taken any damage. I've forgotten I was on full health again.
Look at you.
In which case, is anyone currently not? Do I move?
Emlaghmore is a little beat up. Not below half.
Okay. In which case, I will. Probably just sort of move around.
Okay, let's get an overhead view so you can figure out where you want to go.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get a better angle
Mm-hmm.
at them. So I'm trying to sort of like come round so that I can see.
Top, down, left, right?
Yeah, so bottom left, diagonal left, down, basically.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to move basically to the southwest? Would you say that?
Yeah,
Closer?
so that I'm. Yes, I'm just.
This is you back here. I'm going to point for a second.
Yeah, so I am going to be 10 feet away from the guy that is currently engaged with yourself and Gish.
I'm just going to throw him down, and you tell me if that's where you want to be, or if you want to be more diagonally. That's basically perpendicular behind it by 10 feet, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm moving to.
Okay, all right. Watch the fern.
All right. So that one was Zaldor. We're up to CAD in initiative order.
So the target of my spirit link would heal if they have taken any damage.
I have not.
Okay, good to know. So we still have 2 shadows and the big baddie.
Yes.
Cast Disrupt Undead on one of the shadows.
Okay. There's the one that was created from Zaldor, and then the one that you've been fighting for longer.
Let's go with the one that we've been fighting longer. So he gets a Fortitude save.
Got it. Fortitude save coming up. What's the DC there? 21. He fails it. Yeah, not critically failed, but does fail it.
There's only an extra effect on a critical fail, but it's 12 points of positive damage.
And this shadow lights up in sort of a ball of white light as this ray streaks out and hits it, and is not standing there when the light clears. The shadow is gone to the best of reach. And do you have a third action?
I will cast Shield.
All right. At that point, it would have been Dead Shadow's turn. We are to Emlaghmore.
Okay, I'm going to cast Heal on myself. My Angelic Halo is still running in the background. I'm going to do it as a level 2 spell on myself. And that will be, I believe, 2 actions to do it that way. If I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check it.
And you get an additional So you're doing it at second level, aren't you? So you're rolling 2d8 plus 16 because you're doing the 2-action version.
Yeah, the two. So 2d8 plus, what did you say?
16 because it's not normally for the first level version it's 1d8 plus 8.
Okay.
And then both of those go up if you're using the 2-action version.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I would have done myself a disservice. Okay, so we're going to take these 2d8s and roll them. So there's an 8 and a 3, which is 11. And you say you add 16 to that would be 27. Is that correct? Plus the additional 2 from the Angelic Halo, which will be 29. Does that sound right?
Double check to make sure I am correct.
No, that is correct.
Okay, that completely heals me right on the nose. So that took 2 actions, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, have I seen Mr. Fancy Pants bleed at all?
You have. Slightly, but you have.
Mm-hmm.
He also caught on fire a little bit, but he seems okay now.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. And all his attacks, he's been trying to hit people with his hands, fingers, tips, crap like that.
Yeah, they seem to be claw attacks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to try to grapple him with my free hand.
Okay.
Now,
so grapple check.
We've had a couple. We had a frightened 2 on me, and that went down to frightened 1, and then I got enfeebled 1, but that's all circled back around, so that decays back to no enfeebling at all. Is that correct, or do I still have the enfeebled 1 on me? Do you remember?
You still should have the frightened. The enfeebled, that stays with you, I think, for an hour after the shadow.
Okay, so...
Yeah, by 1 every hour.
Okay, so the enfeebled stays with you for a long, long time, right?
Right.
Okay, so to do this athletics check, how do I do it properly? To try to grab this guy.
It is an athletics check. It does have the attack action, but you have not attacked yet this turn, so you are not suffering a multiple attack penalty. You are, however, still suffering that enfeebled. So you're going to roll a skill check with the d20 plus your athletics, and then just subtract the 1 from it.
Okay, so it's plus 13 on the athletics. Let's get these d8s out of the way. That's 3 and 13. Damn it, it's a 16. And then subtract, that probably won't do anything. All right. Too low.
And the way that I figure out his DC for that is going to be his athletics plus 10.
Okay.
So 10 plus whatever he would add to an athletics roll.
All right.
Sorry, what was your number? I was doing that.
Let's see. It was 16 without being debuffed.
Okay. Yeah, it does not affect him.
Yeah, so to try to grab with my offhand just doesn't even grab him at all. Okay.
Okay. So that was your third action. Then we have the lone shadow that's still there. And it's going to try to strike at you again.
Okay. And am I considered? He's got the flanking bonus on me still, doesn't he? I'm considered flat-footed. Okay, so I'm down to 18 AC.
Yeah, and it is a 29 to hit you.
Okay.
Since it surpasses your AC by 10, it is a critical strike. He didn't roll great though, so that's positive at least. It's a total of 10 negative damage.
Okay.
He's going to try to go for a second strike at a -5.
All right.
This one is going to be a 22 to hit.
What'd you say? Say it again.
A 22.
Wow, even with the -5? That's fantastic. Yeah. That's another hit then easily.
Okay. And that one is 14 negative damage.
Okay.
And his third action is going to be to tug at your shadow again, and you are currently enfeebled 2.
Okay. No, I don't get to save against that. He just has to hit.
He just has to hit with the preceding strike.
Okay. Ow.
And then he burns one of his actions to do it.
Okay. Cool. So the other guys in the area, you see me like
we were talking about.
The other guys, you see me cast this heal myself, and I completely get rejuvenated, and they get hit like bam, bam twice, and be like right back in the same position I was a moment ago, and angry.
We are back around to Gishkim.
Welcome to my world.
Right. So not at the top of my turn, but at the end of my turn, my frightened condition will reduce by 1. Is that correct?
End of your turn, yes. Reduces by 1.
So I am gonna see Samael trying to use his claws, and what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my first 2 turns and I'm gonna try and cast blindness on him.
Okay. Go ahead. That is a save on his end, not
That's a fortitude save.
fortitude save.
Does the frightened condition affect my spell DCs?
It should not, because it's not a roll on your end.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So that's
only
a
your
21
checks.
DC.
And he hits a 17. He is blind.
For
He
a
starts
minute.
looking around a little frantically.
All right. So that's one of my actions. That's 2 of my actions. And with my third one, I'm going to slash at him again. He did a lot of damage to me.
All right. Go ahead and make the strike.
Did you say 18? It dropped out.
It's a 16, sorry.
All right.
It's a 16, even with the flat-footed from being blind. It's not
Was he
hit.
considered flat-footed?
He was.
Okay.
So you missed or a hit? I didn't quite catch the end of that.
He missed.
Oh, okay. Jedi powers.
All right. Was okay. So failure. Target is blinded for 1. Fun. Okay. So we've got Samael here trying to strike at people that are unseen to him. So he is going to swing wildly. This is undetected. He is going to have to stand still, and he's going to use a seek action to try to there. Does so. Then he needs to make that flat check. Well, that's fun. Samuel has failed the flat check, so he reaches out and tries to swing at Gishkim, who is standing right next to him, but he misses. And that is the end of his turn. So we are over to Zaldor.
Okay. Right.
Ask him about the relic, dude. I know
Tell him
you
if he's
have
seen
it.
anything.
I'm sorry. I wanted to try and make you laugh on that one.
Now is not the time for diplomacy. I am going to use my reach spell for shocking grasp on him.
Okay. So you add a third action to the casting, the normal 2 actions to cast Shocking Grasp, and it extends the range by 30 feet.
But he has reach. Do you have reach spells? The what you call it? A feat?
Yes.
Okay. But that means it's automatic, right? Or do you have to add the action?
You add the action.
Gotcha.
It's what allows you to add
Okay.
the action to make it a ranged instead of a touch. And that is my third level cast of for the day. And that is going to be, I think it's a spell attack roll, and then if I hit, I get to do 3d12.
Please hit him.
Well, I have plus 11, so here goes. And that was a 19 on the dice. So
30.
Plus 11 to that. Yeah.
19 plus 11. It's close, but it is still not a critical strike.
Ah,
Go ahead.
but it's a hit though. You're right.
Yeah. Right, so first two D12s come out as a 12 and a 9.
Awesome. 21.
The last one comes out as a 1, unfortunately. So 22 in total.
22 in total. The lightning sort of envelops his form and his body jerks a little bit. And
Kind of like when the alarm clock goes off every morning.
yeah, and he's not quite sure where that came from at this point. He's not having a good time of this. All right, that was 3 actions on your turn, 3 actions over Cad.
So we still have one shadow and the big baddie.
Yes.
And hit it with Disrupt Undead, so it needs to make a Fortitude save.
Okay. Fortitude save. It fails.
Okay, but not critically.
No, not critically.
Did roll max damage though, so 22.
22 on Disrupt Undead. That shadow blinks out. This white light sort of breaks into its core, and it starts to fragment and shatter, and it is gone.
Poof. Nice shot. Keep
Zaldor,
killing shit.
if you look behind you at this point, your shadow is back.
Oh, okay. You get your shadow stolen.
And
Nice.
with my third action, I'm actually going to cast Guidance on Amalgam. I know I said that name wrong.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
You get
So
a plus,
you have +1, yes, to any attack, skill
one
check.
attack roll, perception check, saving throw, or skill check that the target attempts before the duration ends, which is until the start of my next turn.
All right. And with that, Emlaghmore, it is your turn.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I'm pretty beat up, and I don't want to take a chance that Wacko Boy takes a random swipe and hits me. But I am going to, instead of casting heals, I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my first movement to this position here. And that leaves 2 actions left.
Correct.
And I'm just going to cast a low-level version. You know what? I might just do something nasty. Screw this bastard. Let's see what we could do here. Let me pull up her sheet. Did any of my comrades look wounded in that area, though? I've only got 1 action left. I would be able to get it to them.
Very wounded.
Yeah, and I already blew my Searing Light earlier. I'm not going to... Would I understand, as someone who knows how to cast spells, that the thing that we've been fighting, is it bleeding? Is it like a possessed person, or does it seem to be an undead creature?
This does not strike you as undead.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems evil.
Mm-hmm. I got
We'll say that... Oh, you wouldn't know this. Sorry.
I probably wouldn't know. Okay. I have 2 actions left. I can cast... a 2-action version of heal, but that only gives me the ranged version of the level 1 one. Isn't that correct? Isn't that how it works?
The
So 2 actions
30-foot
verbal,
range, and you
somatic.
add an amount to the amount healed. I think it's 8.
Okay, you're right. So I want to do that, and I want to target either one of my comrades that's the most wounded. That's directly in front of me. Who's most wounded, Zaldor or
Probably
Gishkim?
me.
Gishkim? I just don't see any blood on the board. I don't know what's on. So I'm going to cast that on you then, okay? So that's going to be 1d8 plus 8. Is that correct?
You cast it at first level.
Mm-hmm. I have 2 actions, so I can cast it at it's 2 action just gives it the range distance. Is that right?
Yeah. And the extra 8.
All right. Well, it's 1d8 plus the 8 then. So 6 and 8 is 14.
Is your Angel Halo still active?
It should be for a full minute, so you'd add 2 to that.
What was that then?
You would. Does anyone remember what I rolled? I already moved the dice off the board. I'm like a compulsive dice mover. So 6 plus 8 was 14, and then 2 for 16 total.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
Finally above half health.
Sorry if my healing awareness is down.
Oh, you're good.
All right, so that was Emlaghmore. Got Gishkim up top.
Oh, do we now? I'm gonna keep him. I'm gonna keep Samael kind of guessing where the attacks are coming from. I'm gonna look at an object of, minimal weight behind him and use telekinetic projectile to attack him with it. Probably like a rock or a piece of wood or something.
Yeah, loose rock's easy enough to find at the bottom of the pillar that's sort of crumbling and overgrown. Some of the rocks have fallen free.
So since I'm still frightened 1, that's a 19.
Yeah, that's a 19 to hit.
Hmm?
Not going to make it there, even with his
Oh.
flat-footed AC.
All right, well, with my last action, I'm still gonna claw at him with the -5.
Okay.
-4, actually, because claws are agile.
Yep.
It's an 8.
Nope, not going to happen. He's going to turn.
I thought that was gonna be the 1.
Try to strike you. And he does make the seek, and the flat check this time passes. Once he finally gets to the strike, it is a tabbed over. It's a 30 to hit you.
Each.
But it's not a critical hit.
Okay. That is 18 slashing damage.
Oh, you're killing me here.
And I need you to make a will save.
Four.
It's a what?
24. That's a 24.
24 succeeds. And you are frightened 1 if you weren't before.
I'd just gotten over that.
Okay, well now you haven't. He's going to try to strike again, and the flat check that time. That is his turn to Zaldor.
Okay. So it's just the big bad left now, yeah?
Yes.
Sudden bolt his ass.
I was literally just thinking that.
Did I lose audio?
I think he's thinking.
Oh, okay.
I think he's planning his final blow.
I'm just trying to find
Which one has the most flourishing effects?
info for sudden death.
Entangle his ass. Kite the shit out of him.
Okay. Yeah, so I will cast Sudden Bolt.
Okay. At the second level there?
Yeah, because I've used on my 3rd level, so it's just 4d12 electricity damage.
Good lord.
He has to do a basic reflex save.
Basic reflex
is 21.
Oh, that's not awesome.
good.
Oh, but his reflex save fails. Weirdly, it doesn't fail by much because the reflex save is pretty high up there. But
But
it
it still
does fail this time around.
Okay, right. Let's do the first two d12s.
Is that spell from one of the another book, or from? Is it not in the CRB? I'm just wanting to read up on it while you're casting it and blowing up things.
Yeah, it's not in the core rulebook. I think it was added
Like a Lost
probably
Omens or
from
something.
Adventure Path or Lost Omens. Yeah.
Okay, cool. What's
So
your damage?
that is 2 11s on the first 2 die. So that's 22 for now. That is a 7 and a 2. So that's 31 damage in total.
31. Old Sammy Sparkles here is looking, falling to his knees at this point, desperately swinging out at anything.
And then, just to add insult to injury, I will just stand where I am and jab him with my long spear.
Use the William Shatner
so
foot to the
this
face.
also has the attack action. It's going to be at the -5.
Yep, but I have normally +9, so it's only +4 to hit. But it is a +1 striking long spear, so if I do manage to hit, I'm rolling 2d8. Okay. Do I get there? So that is 11 plus, so that's 15 to hit.
15 is going to miss.
Okay.
Cad, you're up.
I will cast Chilling Darkness on him.
Ooh, the other one.
Attack roll.
Yep.
A 28.
28 does in fact hit.
This is not a critical, though?
It is not, no.
Okay.
So the 2 damage types are which?
He takes cold damage, and then he'll take some extra damage if he's a celestial, but I'm doubting that he is a celestial.
Okay.
If he's evil. Yeah.
So roll the cold damage.
15 cold damage.
And parts of him sort of start to form icicles, and it just seems like his heart stops beating, and he goes stiff as a board, falling over.
Now you can kick him in the face.
Yes, I will.
And you have a popsicle of a that it was not a cleric.
Yay.
Then I will move over to be near the rest of my party so that we can begin examining this strange creature.
Is anyone hurt real bad?
I am
Pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Let's see.
Whoever, well, if we're going to stay in initiative order, going last 10 minutes.
Yeah, there's no need to stay in initiative order, but definitely that spell would even out your teammate pretty quickly.
So at the beginning of my turn, if the target was below full, they got 6.
Okay.
So is anyone investigating any here? Doing anything at this moment?
Oh, did his body revert back to the way we saw him, or is it still the creature?
It is still that ugly, hideous, terrifying creature.
I think we should.
Roll occultism to see if I can see what he is.
Absolutely.
We'll try that as well.
Nat 20, so 28.
Ooh.
This is one of the nastier elements of the Fae. This creature is called a bugaboo.
What a great
Ooh.
name.
There are tales of some of the agitated Fae sending out things called bogeymen to go terrorize their enemies that are fear-based, almost serial killers. And every once in a while, they won't murder somebody, but they will kidnap them instead. And that person will disappear for a year or more. But after that point, the next time the bogeyman is seen, it's seen trailing a slightly changed individual who is referred to as a bogey.
As long as it's not
Those
named
bogeys
Patricia.
have a have an ability where if they're the one to murder someone, they are able to siphon its soul away,
Nasty.
making them not be able to be brought back to life through anything other than a wish, and that only after the creature that did this to them was slain. And if they are able to stack up 3 of those occurrences, they become what you just defeated, this bugaboo. After 3 more, they become a full-fledged bogeyman in their own right.
That's probably what he was talking about when he said he needed 1 more, right?
Oh.
Maybe so. That makes sense. Good connection, good memory.
Mhm.
So is this the body of Samael that's been possessed, or is it now a different creature, or is it just wearing the visage of Samael?
It is one or the other. It's hard to tell because if Samael was turned into one of these things, you would have to confirm that he was gone for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the more sort of likely explanation is that this thing could take the form of another humanoid when it needed to. And it found this cleric, and this cleric, well, if he found it, the cleric's probably dead.
Oh no, poor Sparkles. Feel, such sadness for this, at such low hit points bleeding out. I'm very, very sad.
I can do a medicine check on somebody that's still hurt.
Well, this is the only kind of combat piece that I had planned. I was just going to go ahead and wrap things up. If any of you wanted to do in this scene or on the way back to town.
That about sums up and does it for me. It's now like
What's 6 a.m. for you?
4:30 in the
Half
morning.
4. Yeah.
For
You
me.
sleep a couple hours, get up, do some shopping, wear your mask, head down to Boots and get some Cadbury chocolate. I actually had a lot of fun, and I learned a lot, which to me really gives it so much value. And I thought it was a really exciting fight. It was cool as hell. I thought it was awesome. It was really neat fighting something you have no idea what it's going to do.
Yeah, that was a blast. I did not see blindness coming.
Oh, that was
Gotta
very
hand it down.
powerful. But the DC
very
flat
lucky.
5 is one DC 5 flat check is what made it work. If he had passed that, which you think he would 75% of the time, then he'd be wailing on everyone.
Right,
so when he was
and conditions are very, very powerful in this rule set.
Mm-hmm.
When he was blinded, was he rolling against a concealed condition, the DC 5, or was everything unnoticed from him?
He had to burn the seek to move you from unnoticed to what's the next one up? Concealed. And then flat check.
Okay.
For anyone who followed along in a video all this time, all that observed, hidden, undetected, unnoticed rules are on 466 and 467 of the CRB.
Yeah, and what you effectively did was reduce his action economy by 1.
Awesome.
There you go. You're all welcome.
Well, of course. Thank you. In your mind, though, would you think to yourself, this isn't going to work? Like from the flat check is just sounds so low. You're like, whatever, I'm just going to try it.
I wasn't even thinking about the flat check because when I had read it, I was like, there's no way it's just like concealed or something. Like this has got to just like ruin him.
Mm-hmm.
And I already did Touch of Idiocy. I'm like, I just need to hamper him as much as possible. That's all I have. I don't have hardly any direct damage spells.
Yeah. Well, he was wailing us easily. I was being halved twice, which I'm not complaining about because it makes it more exciting.
The direct damage is where I come in.
Well,
What was the level of him? What was his level?
His creature rating is 6.
Ow.
Wow.
Yeah, where the shadows were all 4, based on the XP budget. It doesn't necessarily line up directly to character level, but the XP budget there says if you're going to go for a severe, pretty challenging encounter with 4 people, you're looking at essentially 2 4s and a 6, or like 3 5s, something in that neighborhood.
So if Chromosis had made it with his exploding dwarf, would you have adjusted the number of additional scrubs that were there? Not that there were scrubs, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, there would be 1 additional shadow, and with the pylon effect that they're going for, it would have been a little interesting.
Yes, very Ico, with them stealing your shadow and having another one spawn behind you.
Yeah, we fought 3 of them, not just 2 of them, so it was an even harder encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that they spawn is permanently clumsy too, so it takes a reasonable to most of its stuff. But yeah.
That was cool. So can I ask you guys a couple questions before we wrap it up, unless you have anything else you want to add?
I want to thank Tsarak for DMing. That was very, very good, and that was very skilled, and we're very appreciative.
Oh, thanks.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. I always have a blast. And
you're very good at it. You're very talented at it, and it's very fun. I thought what you put together was very cool, and I'm glad we could come up with some way to kind of figure out how to do this without it looking like Roll20 monkey business. Was the map stuff okay? I try to keep changing camera angles to make it more engaging if someone's watching it. I thought listening to the story for me, it was just everything happening in my mind. I liked the table view, and it was a little blurry. But pulling up character sheets, was that useful for anyone at the other end, or was it like, nah, I don't know?
That was actually really useful for myself.
I think it'll also be really useful for any viewers as well, because we have all of our character sheets in front of us.
Yeah, if they could this, they've watched on the 1080p monitor, they can make it full screen and maybe be able to read it a little bit better. With them being portrait mode, they don't show up super good.
Yeah, at least on my end, knowing the spell DC very quick without having help.
Yeah, I was trying to manage that in the background as much as possible to help you all flow through stuff, and then intently listening. I'm following along and trying to learn how some of the rules, because some are complicated as hell. Because I haven't learned them yet, that's all. I thought it was fun as hell. I really enjoyed it. I'd love to do it again sometime. And it wasn't really that.
The map really helped.
Yeah?
Yeah, the map was amazing. Like this stuff, I've never been able to play with a board like this. It added so much immersion to be able to move my person, and even now you can see how like everything is moving. There's wind going through, the sunlight changes. It's amazing.
Cool. And the other thing about that map, which is neat, which is hard to work with, is you could change the time of day to any time of day. See the shadows moving. So when we were getting together and Tsarak was designing it, he designed it so, let me change camera angles, so there would be shadows over there. So we played with the time of day, and he picked the time of day where there would be the most number of shadows over here with the cursor, so they would be in the darkness. If we had done it at a different time of day by moving the sun somewhere else, they would have been all illuminated. So if it was like high noon, they would just be grass. So I think that's a really cool feature of what these guys at the RPGScenery thing have done, is making these kind of basic maps that you can customize it. You don't need a big printed map anymore. I really like it. I think there's more potential for this kind of cool stuff for gaming that's not being done. The industries aren't connecting the dots well. So Cool. I'm glad that worked out pretty well. I like the whole adventure you put together, to tell you the truth. I thought it was fun. It was really neat.
Thanks.
It was intriguing because you didn't know what you were going to be walking into.
I kind of sped through and hand waved some stuff, but I've got some notes. I'll put them in the shared drive that we have.
Yeah, now we're going to make you DM forever.
Yeah, who's gonna follow that one?
I'm going to need the move I've got planned.
Yeah, you got more important things to do. You got a big move coming.
Yeah.
I just wanted to personally thank you for giving us such a fun session. I mean, that requires a lot of years of experience, understanding the rules, patience, demeanor, the ability to present things, imagination. There's a lot of skills at play there that hopefully people watching will realize, like, wow, this is how someone game masters this stuff and keeps it moving, keeps it engaging. There's situations in the beginning we weren't really sure who should talk next or who should do something because we haven't ever played together. We're not buddies that live across the street and grew up in the same neighborhood where we don't even really know each other yet. If we were all friends in the same neighborhood, we'd be like talking like little kids on TV. But when you're playing with strangers, you know, the pacing of when the GM is prompting you to, like, you can go do something now if you want to, and when there's dead silence, the GM sometimes has to kind of connect the flow and make it move. So it's like being a film director, a production designer, a writer, an author, a game designer, and I really enjoyed it. I love the tactical fights. I thought it was fantastic. And it just, that to me, I said that in the beginning of many other videos, is that's the thing about this edition to me that's so, it's scary as hell. You can die if you screw up, and there's a lot of tactical thinking behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm running a session at the moment, which is now moved online from being in person. That's a grim dark in theme setting, and I haven't had to change the Pathfinder rule set at all to make it like more brutal on the fights or anything. Purely because you just have to bump it up to severe encounter, and then you get that grimdark feel straight away. I tend to only keep it to one encounter per session, purely because we're like on 3.5-hour sessions for that. But pretty much every single time they feel like they're going to die. They don't end up dying; they end up just scraping through. But that's the whole point of a grimdark theme.
Yeah, that's the other thing in the video game industry. We try to keep things on the edge of failure, so you provoke kind of like a scary response. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you though. Go ahead.
That's all right. And the other thing with that is obviously I've got people who are new to the rule set and learning how to be more tactical with combat, and sort of learning what things do as they go along. They've got the basics down. It's just learning how to sort of like work cohesive as a team, which I think we've showed quite well here with the teamwork, the synergy that you can have between the characters.
Yeah, I thought the teamwork was really cool. Everyone was trying to help each other and not let someone drop or don't let anyone get killed.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I had a lot of fun. Well, I know you got a big move coming up, and you got the house closing and all that kind of business. And let's stay in touch and see what happens. And tomorrow, I'll try to get this thing. It takes a long time for these things to process over light. I can export it to Twitch, and I'll try to share it, blast it around some social media. And I thought it was really, really fun. I totally enjoyed it. And I hope that people that watch the videos enjoy getting the fix on the gaming when you can't get together with your buddies right now. And and Roll20 can be pissed off at us.
I did have a thought as to solve the sort of things. I like the story and where it's going for these characters. Maybe while you're doing your move and everything, we could maybe do a different class, another set of characters. Somebody else GMs it.
Sure.
And have a bit of a sort of like class specific adventures going on, and then obviously we can do follow-ups with those GMs as well for like the second part of that, like the next adventure those characters go on.
That's a good idea. What do you other guys think?
I'd be happy to do another build, and that way we could kind of stagger it between, class build and counter, so that it's not all heavy, like encounter focus, and that way it's not as draining.
Sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Well, pick some. Pick a class. Should we roll a d12 again?
Should we roll? I want to roll
Sure.
again.
Yeah, you want to roll again? You want me to roll it live here on let's see if we can get the shite camera back up again, right? Okay, so let's see. Which computer am I controlling? This one. That looks terrible. That's a terrible view. Sorry, we can't have terrible views. Let's go back to a map view. All right, so we're going to roll a d12 with one being the first class in the core rulebook and the other one being the one on the bottom, but we'll ignore the sorcerer. Sound good? Does it have to be
Want to make another sorcerer?
Please don't let it be alchemist. Okay, so alchemist, barbarian, bard, champion, cleric, druid, fighters, monks, rangers, rogues, sorcerers, and wizards. Oh, would that be interesting?
Which number would sorcerer be then in that?
Well,
Seven.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Why don't we roll everything and ignore any number that's 11? Does that work?
Okay.
That's fair.
Okay, ready? 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fighters. That'll be easy. Just high AC, stick together.
Yeah.
This is this high octane next adventure we're gonna go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It need to fight giants or something, just smash space the whole time.
Not necessarily. I mean, the first thing that came to my mind was just being a bunch of guards.
Yeah, who knows?
During something happening. Who knows?
It could be guards at the grocery store.
Not that kind of guard.
Actually,
You could. You could, and then you could have a bunch of NPC rogues causing you trouble.
we could take it a step further and force ourselves to play like a clan of the same ancestry on some kind of family-oriented mission. Not to be too Lord of the Ringsy, but you know what I mean. It could be something like that. But I don't want to take away
Fellowship
people's.
of the Fighter.
I don't want to take people's ancestry preferences. It's fun to build a character that's all around the entire character design. Sorry, don't do two things at once. I'm not good at that.
I think different ancestries would be fun because then we could be we could still be guards, but maybe in a really big city where, there's a lot of diverse characters, but they all kind of join the guard for different reasons, and it allows a lot of flexibility based on like what your character is good at.
Okay. Yeah, any objections? We'll just pull up the city state of the Invincible Overlord with Arial font, Courier font everywhere, right? Have you ever seen that module? I grew up with it. It's hilarious. Who would want to GM? Who think you could just GM an issue with the guards? The guards have to come up with something. If you ever need story ideas, I have billions of those, but I don't want to take control over it. I want it to be your creativity. Who would want to run that after we come up with the characters? Or should we make it the characters first and agree they're going to be guards?
Like the characters first.
Okay.
Yeah, because then we each get to at least build someone, and then we can go from there. Because it might be a case of like we really like the other guy's characters and be like, yeah, I can shelf mine.
Okay.
And do this one.
All right. Well, let's talk about loose timing to do that then, without committing, because I know it's late at night for you in the UK. Middle of next week, maybe a quick.
Fridays are always best for me.
That's right, because of time zone. You guys want to wait a week and do it by next Friday?
I have the weekend to recover the sleep.
Yeah, that's tough on you.
Yeah.
You don't want your immune system compromised. Well, how about we just get together next Friday, come to the table with your awesome fighter, and get your own pictures, and with a really cool, interesting story theme or something like that, and they're all guards in the same town. How about that? They don't even have to know each other. They don't even have to know each other. They can just be like, I signed up for this job, and then we'll take it from there.
We're doing 5th level again?
I don't know. What do you think? You tell me.
I mean, fighters are relatively easier to build. We could potentially push the level higher to showcase off the higher levels a bit, maybe.
You want to do 10?
Yeah, we could do 10th level.
That'll be a challenge. That'll be
Since
fun.
we don't have to pick out spells.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and it'll force me to learn how the magic item system and striking runes and stuff work, which I have every time I open that chapter, I'm like, I don't get it, dude. I want to read this. So, okay, cool. So, we'll touch base during the week and have fun, be safe, and chat in Discord and share ideas. And the goal, the homework assignment is to come up with some cool fighter builds for next Friday, and we could probably do a short 1.5 hour long walkthrough of people's builds. I'll put a lot of emphasis on story on mine. This last time my character wasn't very story oriented; it was more mechanics, and I'll try to put more emphasis on the story and where they came from. And we'll keep them in the Galarian. Do we want to pick a city? Like Absalom or something crazy, or somewhere small in the middle
Yeah,
of
Let's
nowhere.
do Absalom.
Absalom is perfect because there's everything there.
Yeah, it's a
and
melting pot.
huge,
Yeah,
and
there's a book
it's
coming out on Absalom next month.
Is that the Pathfinder 1 book, though? Or is that the 2?
The
It's for two.
Pathfinder 2 book, The City of Absalom.
Oh, that'd be awesome. It'd be great to build them
can
ahead of
perfect.
time and then be able to do a follow-up show later on where we
Adjusting them.
have the book and then see how they
Yeah.
integrate into the campaign and see, oh, I would rebuild this guy differently because of this now or whatever. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I do believe they're thinking either an adventure path or a module is going to be about guards in Absalom as well. Anyway.
Yeah,
So,
Agents of Edgewatch.
yeah.
That'd be fun.
So should hire us.
Well, it's not like we don't have talent. I don't know what their problem is. It's the salaries. They just can't afford us. So it's just too much.
definitely
Too
it.
much. Yeah, it's too much. Way too much money involved. It's like $2 million in wages just on the internet right now, this very moment. So anyway,
exactly.
I had a lot of fun, and it's nice to get to know you guys and see your personalities come out as well. If you ever have any feedback offline with me and things I can do to make it better, I sometimes interrupt people. I try not to do that. Share your your feedback with me, and if you think I can make it more fun, let me know. But we'll do fighters, and we'll get together next Friday, and we'll chat during the week.
All right. Had a great time. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much again for GM for us because you're very good at it. It was a lot of fun. You made it even more fun than I ever thought it could be.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I
It's very
appreciate
nice.
the extra effort.
Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good evening. See you later.
Yeah, see you guys later.